I got one chance. Let's make it count. This is Scoundrels, Inc. My name is Kevin Smets. This is Brandon. That's Frank. I already screwed up. Already screwed up, dude.
Screwed up.
I haven't done an intro in so long. I said, Frank, can I do the intro? And now I already screwed up. We are Scoundrels, Inc., and we are going through a galaxy far, far away and doing a saga rewatch throughout the entire Skywalker Saga. Saga is actually
Do you
a name.
literally want to start over?
No, I don't. We're keeping it. Saga is the name of a Chewbacca's friend in Solo, a Star Wars story. Schmo down that. Anyways, we're doing the Skywalker Saga. This is Brandon. This is Frank. And we are going through Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And I think this is right here. I think, oh, no, I'm going to get it. Like, subscribe, do all those things, comment, join the Discord. Discord's popping off. We got like at least 5 messages a day now. It's off the chain, dude. Everything's happening in Scoundrels, Inc. world, and we're starting with Revenge of the Sith right now. Roll the logo thing. Bah!
Man, what a professional. That was really professional stuff.
I've got pit stains, dude. Like 0 to pit stains in 5 seconds.
0 to pit stains. Yeah, so we're talking about Revenge of the Sith. I watched this about 2 times last night. One, the original version. The other one, which one did I watch?
The only version that exists in my world. The Frank cut.
That's right, where I splice in the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars, Season 7 Clone Wars, into the storyline that is Revenge of the Sith, because they do coincide with one another. And I was watching, I was like, damn, this is so good.
It is great, man. And
when you put them together, I'm saying, not just my cut, but when you combine the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars and you watch Revenge of the Sith, it just really goes well together.
Forward to the super special edition where we're going to add all of the Order 66 footage. It'll take you it'll be like another hour of content. But
there's only one thing that I would actually add, and that's from Tales of the Jedi when Ahsoka's at the funeral. I might go back and just put that part of the funeral into that procession. I might.
Look at that.
I don't know.
Goosebumps. And
it's really there. I don't know why
you
he's
legit
like this.
gotta throw. I'm sorry, Kenobi. That scene that is so intense. You gotta. I'll sit down at the edit bay. We're gonna knock it out tonight, after we record.
You're all wondering what the hell we're talking about. Actually, I did make an edit with the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. If you want to watch it, it is nowhere to be found.
$20 a head.
If you want to watch it, go into our Discord, message in the Discord. You can directly message me or just throw it in the general chat, wherever. Tag me in it, and I will send you a link to watch it. Because obviously, you can't really sell the thing.
Well, also, you forgot to say, then go to Venmo and go to Brandon Hannah _
Also scan the link for viruses before you open it.
Well, you should really, yeah. Also, I will say, I do have like a Google Doc of all the notes or where I made the edits. So if you just really wanted to watch it and skip to the edit parts, I have a whole doc where you can just go there and see how it transitions and how it plays out.
This is how much I loved your cut. When I would go hardcore study mode for the Schmodown or whatever, when I would get to Star Wars, like sometimes I'd watch you'd have to watch these movies at like 1.5 speed, all the bad movies, not Star Wars, but like all the geek movies. But when I would get to Star Wars, no matter what, even though I didn't have no time I had never have time for it. Like I need to get to the next movie. I would still give your 4-hour cut the love it deserved.
It's actually 3 hours and 39 minutes.
Yeah, but it's going to be 4 one day.
Maybe.
Frank, when you said you also watched the original cut of Revenge of the Sith, I thought you were referring to the theatrical version, which actually, I don't know if you guys know this, but they trimmed down for the DVD and Blu-ray releases. They trimmed down the amount of time that Vader goes, "No."
Did they really?
Yeah, in the theatrical version, he goes, "No," just a little bit longer. And then George looked at that and he was like, "You know what? That's a little too long. Shave a couple seconds off that. No, yeah."
I have so much to say about that.
So
part.
Think about it.
Well, we got ways to get there, buddy.
George was making changes not just to the original trilogy, but the prequels as well.
I mean, yeah.
As far back as the DVD release of Revenge of the Sith.
Now, what I love about these retrospectives is we first talk about how you saw it. Like I know you're about to say.
Yeah.
I like to always, if you're here, I like to always go a little couple steps back because I'm stealing soundtracks, I'm doing everything else, right?
Right.
So with
Sorry, we don't have the nefarious era.
Yeah. So with Revenge of the Sith, I actually have a story of looking at
God.
footage way earlier. So I worked for a commercial company, and I would print DVDs out for the commercial agents' reels and all the directors and stuff. And it was mostly like car commercials and stuff. But someone had worked on the episode 3. It was either like a DVD for all of Star Wars, but it was like a DVD addendum or whatever to some game. It was either like Trivial Pursuit or some weird Seen It game. I think it was Seen It. Whatever it was, this is now in about 3 weeks before the movie came out, and I actually got my hands on it early, and it had full scenes. And we always joke and say, at least we're flying half a ship. And sure enough, in full. So all you'd seen is trailers, but here I am sitting in this commercial agent's studio or whatever, and I have the early cut of this DVDs that were going to get released or whatever, and I watched the whole, like, we're coming in too hot with, like, the fire ships and everything. Yeah. And I remember sitting there, and I was like, I felt so cool, and I wanted to go to my old boss who was a super Star Wars nerd, so I used their DVD, like, cloning machines. Cloners.
Copy machines?
Well, back then it was kind of a big deal to do that kind of thing.
That's true.
This is 2005. So I copied. I went over to his office. I'm like, "Hey, man," and I acted like I was like, "I got early footage of episode 3. You want to see?
Oh my God!"
See it? He's like, "Yeah." So we popped it in, and I think it was that one, and then the other one that we both kind of like cringed a little bit was, "We're smarter than this." Like when they get caught in the ray shields. That's kind of a weird. Like,
Activate the ray shields.
In a vacuum, that scene's kind of weird. Where it's like, what? We're smarter than this, and they're hanging out and they're quipping funny with like Palpatine in it. But yeah, that's my pre-episode 3 story. I thought I'd share.
It is weird watching them hang out with Palpatine a little bit. It's like,
chilling.
That guy's evil.
Yeah. He's an evil doer.
And when you saw the trailer, did you think that one shot of him hanging off in the elevator shaft? I always thought when you first see it at glance, that's like the part where he's gonna fall into like into lava and stuff. You just never know when you first see trailers.
To a vat and becomes a Joker. Right.
Revenge of the Sith was actually the second movie that I went to a midnight screening for.
Oh.
The first one was Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, greatest movie ever made.
Well done.
Interesting.
So we could talk about that in another podcast.
Oh my God, that's loud.
Yeah.
That sounded like a door slamming in Naboo.
Ruining my memories, Kevin.
Sorry.
And I just remember like a lot of people being dressed up in like Jedi robes and lightsabers, and it was.
I never went to a
it's
midnight
pretty cool.
screening for the prequels, which it kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do?
I saw it. I think I saw it 3 times opening weekend. I saw it twice in the same day. So I went to the midnight screening, which was like Thursday night at midnight going into Friday. I went to school the next day, and then we got off of school, and then me and my buddy Ryan, who I've mentioned on the show before, shout out to Ryan, we were like, obviously he also went to a midnight screening of it, and we were just obsessed with Star Wars at the time, still are, obviously. And I just remember, I think it was my stepmom who was like, you guys want to go again? So we went again right after school.
That's awesome.
And we saw it twice opening day.
Twice opening day?
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't get my bike stolen or like, do whatever nefarious plots Kevin was up to. But that's my story.
You never saw any nips, dude? Never nipple rings?
No nipple rings. Just the movie twice.
I don't think I saw it opening day. I might have seen it opening day. I know I did see it one time with my friend, like my lifelong friend Dan, back home in Chicago, and we were I was a Star Wars fan, he was a Star Wars fan, so we were instantly friends for that. And like I really had nobody else in my life, friend or family, that was like into Star Wars as he was, as I was, as we were. And so I was away at college, and I came back, and I think I do remember. I don't know if this was the first time I saw it or the second time I saw it, because I only saw it twice. But the one time that I did see it with him, it was the first time, I think. Walked in late. Like the crawl. I didn't see the crawl. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see it.
You didn't know that there were heroes on both sides?
Heroes on both
know.
sides.
Walked in as
what is it good
as
for?
They're descending
Heroes
over
on both
Coruscant,
sides.
the ships and everything. And so that was when I was like, well, obviously I'm going to see it again, so whatever. But like I was still kind of like, although Dan, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe my memory's a little fuzzy about what part we walked in. But I only did see it twice. And at this point in my Star Wars fandom, I wasn't super, super deep into Star Wars the way I had previously been for the episode 1 and 2.
Attack of the Clones lost you, huh?
Well, I mean, 3 years is a long time. I go from being a sophomore in high school, then being in college.
You discovered girls?
And, yeah. And
there's girls in this movie, Frank.
There's 1, 2,
She's
3.
pregnant. She's pregnant. That means she hooks up. Because you know that she hooks up.
You got Padmé, you got Leia, you got Aunt Beru.
Oh, shoot.
Leia.
Right.
You talking about infants?
Did Shakti make the cut?
No, she
I'm just
didn't.
saying that there are girls in the movie.
Yeah, okay, there's 5 or 6. Okay, whatever. There's a
I'm
handful.
not doing anything to anybody.
Yeah, how about the blue chick? She's hot.
Yeah. Oh, Ayla
Secura. Yeah, and
Secura,
Adi Gallia.
Adi Gallia was the other one too.
Poor thing on that speeder.
Yeah,
like,
getting murked. Yeah,
That's her name.
Anyways,
Adi Gallia.
yeah. So what? Oh, and then so here's another ancillary kind of like anecdote.
Those are my favorite.
After the movie
Sly
had been
Moore?
out, I guess technically, yeah.
I love bald chicks. I asked Dasha to shave her head. We'll see.
All right. Oh man. Well, you're going down to San Diego. No one's gonna see her for a little while.
Yeah, that's true. You can always grow it back if she doesn't like it.
Anyways, so after the movie had been out for a little while, or was out of the theaters, I guess, I was able to find like a bootleg copy of the movie online somewhere, and it was actually a really good copy. And so what I did was, I don't remember. You remember Nero, the software Nero, whatever it was, burning software
Star
for
Trek
like
2009.
not that Nero.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
And so you could actually make DVD menus. And I downloaded the movie illegally, obviously.
What?
Put it onto this DVD.
Can we admit to that?
Because like, come get me. Come get me.
I may or may not have had a bootleg DVD of this movie also.
And so,
ironically, I'm the only one who didn't.
And then I had one of those like label cover like
cloning machines.
No, makers. It was like a
good
like
ones,
like a
too.
printing.
Oh,
You know,
I love that.
And so I used the Darth Vader, that one shot of like
The Who's Your Daddy
one. Yeah,
poster.
the Who's Your Daddy right there. And so
He's in it so
I
much.
put
What
that-
a marketing
I know.
campaign, huh?
man.
For this movie.
So I put that on the DVD, and then I got a jewel case, not a jewel case, but a DVD case from a DVD I didn't want anymore. I think it was like, it might have been Shrek.
Wow.
And so I took out the cover for that one, made my own cover, I did like it was like an actual like a bootlegger would sell on the street. Made my own version.
That's right.
And
you sold it for a lot of money.
No, I kept it, and I hope I have it somewhere. That would be insane if I still
Was
had
it a
it.
cam from the theater then?
It was better than a cam,
So it was
but it
probably
could have
taken
been,
from the
but like
projectionist.
maybe, yeah.
Back then there'd be called TS files or whatever. Like TS, I think was like some cine weird thing where they would.
Yeah. It looked good.
I wonder if I still have my bootleg Revenge of the Sith.
Man, I wish.
I'll bring it in next week if I have it.
That'd be great.
If I don't, but I don't. Are you a cop? You have to tell me if you're a cop.
The other thing, this actually just, here's another story. This just happened last night. And I actually put this in the Discord too. I don't know if you saw it. I wanted to watch some like special features from this movie. And so I have the Blu-ray Saga box set. And has all the movies and like 3 other discs for special features. One for episodes 1 through 3, another disc for 4, 5, and 6, and then another disc for like documentaries, special things, whatever. And I pop in the special features to go to the episode 3, and there's like nothing there. Like there's like half as many deleted scenes. There's no the petition for 2000. Like there's those scenes aren't on, not in there. There's other deleted scenes that are not there, and I was like getting really pissed off. I was like, what the hell? And like Disney Plus has them too, so you can watch them over there. But I was like, for this Blu-ray set, like, really? And it was just really just hit home for me that DVD special feature menus and special features that you get was like an era unto its own of like, that was like the reason why you got the DVD.
Yeah.
Was because they packed it full of special features. We talked about the episode 1 documentary. That was great. And those got kind of skimped down by the time we got to episode 3. And even just like the design of special feature menus and whatnot and different backgrounds and stuff like that. And so what I ended up doing was I just found episodes 1, 2, and 3 on DVD and I bought them. And
you didn't already own them on DVD?
I have them back home in Chicago somewhere.
Because I got mine.
I think that's the only problem because I think
legal
I don't.
and illegal.
Yeah. So, which is funny though because the delivery times, they're all 3 different delivery times, and this is pure coincidence. The first one that's arriving, episode 1. Second one that's going to arrive is episode 2, and then episode 3 in like 2 weeks. So
That's funny.
I just wanted, for my own collection. I was like, now I'm gonna go find. I found VHSs of the original trilogy. And I was like, oh boy.
The only problem, I was definitely the kid. My family had square TVs, right? As we all had back in the day. So I was very stubborn. I was I wanted full screen DVDs as a kid.
Really?
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I was just I'm a little kid. I'm I wanted to fill
because they sell
screen.
the DVDs in full screen and widescreen.
Yeah, I wanted to fill the whole screen. Little did I know that all these years later, they would have TVs shaped like rectangles now.
Well, not only that, the full screen cuts off stuff.
Now, if I put on a full screen DVD, there's giant black bars on the sides.
Full screen DVDs are rarer too, so that might be worth.
Are
money.
they?
Oh, that could be something.
You want to buy some full screen DVDs?
Who's hanging on to their full screen?
Yeah, $50.
Just kidding, they're priceless.
But I didn't realize there was also another release of the DVD. It's just the DVD with a different box cover art. I'm like, man, if I want to be a completionist, I would have there's 4 different versions of just the prequel.
Oh, I feel like they recently did DVD re-releases.
Well, now they also do the 4K, the Blu-ray 4K. I bought the original.
Oh, you bought the
DVD.
Original. Okay.
Because they also have now the 4K Blu-ray combo. Then there was just the Blu-ray digital combo or Blu-ray DVD combo.
How crazy is it that they still make DVDs for new movies? Have you been to a Barnes & Noble lately? Best Buy, not anymore. But Barnes & Noble still has a decent selection.
Interesting.
I go there and I see DVDs for movies that just came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And I'm just why are they still doing this?
Huh.
Who goes, yeah, I can't, I have a DVD player, but I don't have a Blu-ray player. We're already on a 4K. Your Blu-ray player is already obsolete. And why are you buying a movie that's only in 720p?
Nostalgia.
If there's not at least 1,000 pixels going across my screen, I don't want it.
Maybe it's a family that can't afford a big screen TV or
Yeah, Brandon.
These DVDs
think
are
about someone else.
These
besides yourself.
DVDs.
They can't find VHS tapes.
No. These DVDs are still expensive. They're not that much cheaper than the Blu-rays.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thanks for that.
No, I'm heated.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the movie?
What a waste of resources. Is there market data saying that people still buy these DVDs?
Probably.
Has to be.
I feel like you need to follow that up with Get Off Me Lawn. Get off me lawn.
Get off me lawn.
Get off. What am I?
And what about your Lucky Charms? Where are your Lucky Charms? Yeah. Get off me lawn and my Lucky Charms.
If it's Star Wars themed Lucky Charms, I'm there. Like the old Attack of the Clones cereal that
Lucky Palpatines, maybe.
You ever see that? Back to Robot Chicken, the Admiral Akbar cereal.
Oh yeah.
You can't repel flavor of this magnitude.
I want to talk about the beginning of this movie because I think it might be my favorite intro and crawl, probably. Actually, Force Awakens crawl is pretty great. But
heroes on both sides.
Force Awakens is pretty great.
Solid.
Nothing beats the dead speak, man. we go 8 whole movies. The dead completely silent. All of a sudden, they're talking
again.
They're talking.
Somehow they know how to talk.
What have they got to say? If you want to find out what they've got to say, you got to go play Fortnite. That was a real thing that happened. We'll get onto that in a few weeks.
Yeah.
But yes,
but
I do like the opening of Revenge of the Sith.
Of course not. I mean, it's the coolest.
The whole entire planet is one big city.
Yeah. So they say.
I didn't mean to touch you.
It's okay. That opening is fantastic,
It is.
And the score, from the beginning, it pans down.
It was
and
drums,
war drums, and then the ships, and it follows them. There's not a real cut for a minute or a half or whatever. It's just Coruscant with war over it. You never think of it
the reveal, over the I don't. They're not called Star Destroyers, are they? The Clone Wars era Star Destroyers,
like the Venator class. Is that what they're called?
Like when they fly their Jedi Starfighters over it to reveal the entire battle going on.
Yeah, Sean would know. Actually, I do. Oh, batteries, fire! I got. Speaking of this, because it kind of fits
magnetize.
What did Sean send?
Sean's statement is this, and I quote: "Revenge of the Sith is the best Star War." And then I said, "Feel better, bro. Is it your favorite then out of all the 12?" And then he wrote, "In all seriousness," he said, "My favorite movie is whatever movie we're talking about each week." And then he said, "In all seriousness, Revenge is definitely top 3. Yeah. But talking about Star Wars, that's what reminded me of it. His that battle, I think, was my favorite Star Wars battle. Endor, Battle of Endor is probably tops for me. And then that was always number 2. And then I think Rogue One overtook it because Rogue One space battle is fantastic too, where you see Red 5 die and stuff. Really cool. But the opening.
What are you doing, Red 5?
And of course, with the I remember in the theater on opening night because I have some opening night memories of it. When R2 kills the Buzz droid.
Yeah.
What's
it
that?
flies off. It flies off, and you hear dun 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 dun. It's like you hear
Yeah,
that theme,
yeah.
and he flies off. The crowd went
Hell yeah.
ape shit. Like, excuse me, I can cuss,
Yeah,
right?
we
The
did.
crowd went nuts, like it was a home run played at your home stadium. So a home run hit.
People love R2.
Yeah, it was great. And yeah, that whole thing, and then like, you know what's crazy too? I was thinking about it when Obi-Wan's ship gets hit and it fogs up. Like you're dead basically. Like if that happens on in a Cessna plane, you're going down. And he's so calm. He's like, all right. He's basically saying bye, like he's gonna go die because you're not gonna eject. You can't do anything. And he's just like, oh, I'm gonna be no good. You peel off, and then Anakin's like, no, I'm gonna like save you, you fucking idiot. But like, it's crazy that like Obi-Wan's so calm. He's like, it's all fogged up, and yeah, he probably die. He's like, all right, I'm good.
You know, that's the thing. I think in general with the Jedi, it doesn't really play well on screen, but they're just like overly calm about everything because they're just supposed to accept life happening to them. Yeah. Like literally later on in this movie, like Anakin's like, I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord, and then Mace Windu's like, a Sith Lord? That's the most excited.
I was thinking about that
that's
last
the most
night, too.
excited
Like,
he gets, and then Anakin's like, yes, the one we've been looking for. And he's like, all right, you stay here. I'm gonna go check this out.
Yeah, they're chill. Brother, how about in Phantom Menace with if you were in a submarine and a giant fish ate you and put their teeth on it, you'd freak out, right?
Like Jar Jar.
Jar Jar's freaking out, and these guys are like, huh, and Qui-Gon's quipping, there's always a bigger fish. The only one who's human that does that too is Han Solo, because they're about to get squished by the trash compactor. He's able to make a quip and say, one thing's for sure, we're all gonna get a lot thinner.
That's great.
Hey, but he kind of said it in a way. He's like, I gotta get one last zinger.
He's about to die.
I'm going out.
If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna go out having the princess think I'm funny as shit.
But yeah, Obi-Wan's just calm and collected. Like all the beeps are going off. That's fog. I mean, I guess he could fly with the Force.
If what you told me is true, you will have earned my trust. I'm like, you just had like earth-shattering news.
Should have brought Anakin there. But yeah, we'll go on.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, so I mean, this whole intro brings us to. I do really like that this opening does mirror in a way. We're on this adventure, we're on this mission, much in the way we were with Return of the Jedi. Luke Skywalker is going to rescue Han Solo and whatnot, and it becomes a much bigger deal. And same thing for Obi-Wan and Anakin. They're going to rescue the Chancellor. And also, were you guys just like completely like thrown off and like, holy hell, we're getting a lightsaber fight right in the beginning of this movie with Dooku?
Dude, hell yeah. Like, I was obsessed with this movie as a kid. I'm like, there's like 5 lightsaber fights in this movie. It is insane. From the beginning, it's like one every 15 minutes. Nuts.
I wasn't shocked because, truth be told,
I
was on a website that was leaking the novel. The novel, I think, came out like 2 weeks before the movie.
And the game, right? And
I don't know about the game.
PS2 game? I think
the novel
it did.
was. And I remember.
I think it did, yeah.
And when you get to another scene, I'll bring it up again. But the novel, I remember, had the Dooku fight. So I was like amped and ready for it. I think it mirrors. I think the Phantom Menace too, with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan.
Oh,
I
sure.
thought that the opening was very.
That's such a good point.
I like that adventure on the ships. They get in elevators together, and like there's deleted scenes now. Not that baseball deleted scene. Wow, thank you for that. You've seen that one, right?
The which one?
Baseball?
Oh my God, you haven't.
Baseball. See, you're saying baseball. Do they actually use a baseball? That's what
I'm not joking when I say there's a deleted scene. You talked about it where
Anakin, you're rooting for the Mets or the Yankees.
You saw Shaak-Ti get stabbed from behind. You see the deleted scene where Grievous did it?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay, what happens right afterwards is they're like, you made a big mistake, and Obi-Wan and Anakin are standing there, and then they're like this.
The
they're
line?
Like, no, they start doing this.
Oh, yeah, yes,
they're doing baseball signals.
They're doing little, and then Obi-Wan does one of these.
Yeah, like the thing, and they're like, no, I was thinking we could do this or whatever.
Yes.
And not to be outdone with the other one where they're like, oh, what did R2 say? And then they actually dub in R2's beeps in Anakin's voice.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, he was saying bleep, 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 bleep. They're like,
but I wonder if that was just like a joke. Yeah, I wonder
it was a deleted scene.
It is a deleted scene, but I wonder if the R2 beep is a little bit of a joke.
That has to be a joke.
He's trying. I didn't say anything.
No loose wire jokes, okay?
There was something I was gonna say, but now my mind is totally blanking on it. What were we talking about before this?
Well, we're talking about the lightsaber fights and how they were meant.
Yeah, the lightsaber fights. You were losing your mind every 15 minutes.
Losing my mind. Damn, I can't remember. But another thing I was gonna say until I do remember is that it kind of reference to Sean's comment saying that Like, this is the best Star Wars. I don't think this is the best Star Wars movie, but I will say this is the Star Wars movie that Star Wars the hardest. I was actually talking to Sean last week because I was like getting kind of excited to talk about this movie with him today, and then he betrayed us. But I told him like 15 minutes into
his
the movie,
immune system betrayed us, Brandon.
Your thoughts dwell on your mother. I don't know.
Dwell on your mother.
But I was like only 15 minutes into the movie at the time because I watched it kind of in chunks. But I was like only 15 minutes in, I just had this thought where like, this is the Star Wars movie that George Lucas always wanted to make. That's what it felt like to me watching this. Is like, finally he was able to make the movie that he imagined in his head. And I think you can really like feel that love and that passion in this film, I think. And just because like, this obviously of all the 3 prequel movies, this is the one where the technology is the furthest by far. And I think it's one of the most beautiful looking Star Wars movies to me.
It definitely, I think, is the most aesthetic pleasing of the prequels. But I would say, I think this one, then Episode 1, and then Episode 2, like in terms of aesthetic enjoyment for my personal taste. But again, you know, when we talk about George, it's always about pioneering and pushing forward technology in film. And Episode 1 did that. Episode 2 greatly did that. I think like that one
first film ever to be shot on digital,
completely digital. There was other ones that were like have like little shots here and there, but this was the first film that completely digital. And obviously Episode 3 was completely digital. But yeah, I mean, I think the look of this, and it's also it's a little bit closer to, because what he does with this movie is kind of gives you hints of what the Empire looks like. So it has a little more gritty feel.
Can we talk about the hair? Anakin's hair.
I like his hair.
He had Episode 3. He had Aragorn hair. He had badass
great hair,
long hair. I remember when a photo leaked like 2 years before the movie came out of him in the elevator with Obi-Wan, and it was kind of blurry, and you saw his hair though, and you're like, oh, it's kind of like long, like they're almost going 80s style, like they're trying to bridge it to like the 70s haircuts. And you see that with Antilles later and stuff like that, like with all their hairstyles.
Antilles, yeah. He has like a weird, like padded down hair, whatever it was. But no, I think Anakin. What sucks is, I was thinking about this too. Is it's a real shame we only got one movie with this version of Anakin. I know there's Clone Wars. So far. Right. But I'm talking about like a movie it's about Anakin, and it's so interesting to watch him throughout this entire movie because it's so tragic. He feels the pull, and at the same time he feels like there's nothing he can do but give into it. He can't help but give into it, and it feels so tragic in a weird destiny filled type of way.
Have you read the novel?
No, I haven't.
So I think I'd mentioned this a long time ago on this show, but the novel is from his point of view. Some of the chapters are, and he talks about the dragon that's inside and how he cannot.
Does he say the word dragon?
He does. It's the dragon. He in his head, he's like, the dragon still pulls to me.
Is it a crate dragon? He is from Tatooine.
But the dragon, and it's very poignant too when he's finally in the whole machine, and he like finally submits and gives in to the dragon and realizes the dragon now has been his master all along.
Damn.
But it's very like there's a lot of cool things about that. I would really recommend you read the novel. Like,
yeah, I really should.
The first paragraph is talking about how the galaxy was so fearful on Coruscant, and they're all worried. And it's this like the citizens look up and there's war, and they can hear the explosions and they see the ships, but everyone across the galaxy knows it's gonna be okay because Anakin and Obi-Wan are there. And it basically talks about how Anakin and Obi-Wan were almost celebrities in this world. I don't know if it always it was just the book, right?
Right.
But how everyone knew of their exploits, and so when Coruscant heard that Anakin and Obi-Wan's were on their way, it's this great, beautiful paragraph that talks about how throughout the Clone Wars, the two of them became the most famous Jedi of all, and like the most victorious, heroes and stuff like that. And it reminded me of kind of like in the Civil War, like there were a lot of super generals that were like really famous. In the South, you had Stonewall Jackson, and you had Grant in the North, especially near the end of the war, and of course Robert E. Lee for the South. The North had a bunch, like they weren't going through, they were really bad in the beginning of the war, but when they finally, like I said, but the people would know and be like, oh my God, don't worry, like Stonewall Jackson's coming, or Grant's about to do his march. So, and Sherman too. So I thought that was a really cool thing. And the book has so many interesting things. Some parts we'll get to where I thought that would be in the movie and it wasn't, especially during the Mace with the 4 Jedi.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be interesting.
I kind of want to.
They do take a little kind of.
I think I remember what I was going to say, and it's in reference to the book. If I remember correctly, my buddy read the book before the movie came out.
Interesting.
And there's always been one line that's in the book that like stuck with me because he was like, "Oh, he says this," and it wasn't quite like that in the movie. And that's when General Grievous says, like, "You fool! I've been trained in your Jedi arts by Count Dooku." And I think in the book, Obi-Wan responds with, "Oh, what a curious coincidence! I trained the man who killed him."
Dang.
But it's not in the movie.
Oh,
I mean, that's
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple really
Pretty
bad
cool.
lines too, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, backtrack a little bit before we get super deep into Anakin's story, because we were talking about the lightsaber duel right off the bat. But this was always, and we were talking about. I was talking to Brandon about this right before, and Dooku messes up Obi-Wan. He shoves him, throws him across the room. He could have killed him. Instead, he just lowers that platform onto him just so he can't
probably would have
move.
broke his legs though.
Right.
You didn't think you wanted
Looks
to kill him?
heavy.
That's what I'm really.
Maybe he just didn't have
wondering.
time to kill him.
Well, I mean, you just hey, catwalk, just fall on.
Maybe he
Obi-Wan,
wanted to do to
It's
him
just
what
like-
he did to Yaddle. Put him down first, and then after he takes care of Skywalker,
Maybe.
go back to Obi-Wan and just slash him when he's down.
Well, in any
That's
way,
Dooku's
in any right,
style.
I always felt that was a interesting thing that Dooku did. I'm always curious about why didn't Dooku say anything to Anakin when Palpatine's like, do it, kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't Dooku come out and say, Anakin, this is the Dark Lord you're looking for. I'm not, like, why? I mean, he's going to die regardless, whether by Anakin or by Palpatine, right? So he's good as dead anyway, but why not give up the whole spiel thing, So I've always kind of thought about why Dooku was doing or not doing certain things throughout this fight, because I don't know if it's mentioned in the book or elsewhere that I'm just not privy or not. I don't know about, knowledgeable about. Was Dooku in on turning Anakin?
No,
he right?
I know that.
Okay,
I
so
feel
it's just
I read
like
this somewhere. He was completely in shock. Like, he like turned because even in episode later, he's like, "Oh, soon I'll have a new." Well, to Grievous, but yeah, like I think I don't know if it was in the novel, but I think his direction was basically like when he's like, "Do it," like that's the first he's heard of it, and he like looks over and his eyes are wide. Like, what? And yeah, he doesn't speak up for himself, but I don't feel like that much. I mean, maybe he's still processing it. Like he doesn't.
Because my whole thing was that then Palpatine just has to reveal himself way sooner to Anakin than Palpatine would have liked to, because he still was, still has to twist the knife on the Padme angle and whatnot, and the Obi-Wan stuff still trying to use that
so many
manipulation.
ways. Yeah, there's so many ways that like if this or that happened, like Anakin wouldn't have fallen to the dark side.
No, but he would have, and we're gonna find that out in the Ahsoka show.
I don't know.
Yeah, he would. I really no. I think he really would
like,
have. I think
he
that's
was
why he's
destined.
constructed.
Because I was
right?
thinking this while I was watching the movie. What if like when Mace Windu has his lightsaber up to Palpatine, he's like, he's too dangerous to be left alive, and Anakin's like, no, he must stand trial. What if Mace Windu just like, yeah, you know what? He does have to stand trial. Disignites his lightsaber. Goes, all right, you're going to trial, buddy.
But then Palpatine is absolved. Then it's turned around on the Jedi because
then Palpatine
manipulates the Senate.
Palpatine can no longer say like, "Oh, the Jedi are taking over." It'd be like, no, we came to talk to him just like we said that we were, and then the dude just screeched at us and did like a 360 in the air, and then stabbed Kit Fisto in the face.
Oh, in the face.
And we all love Kit Fisto around here. He's dead now.
In the novel, Anakin walks through a crashed window. He lands his ship and he walks through a window, and on the desk is Kit Fisto's head. Damn. And it says he looks down at the head of Kit Fisto with eyes. It's like with dead eyes, and it almost looks like a smile. Like, there's a weird thing where it's literally like it almost like he could look alive, and he's just faceless or he's lifeless.
I'm sorry, I don't trust anyone that decapitates Kit Fisto.
And by the way, that scene is also seen from the eyes of a recording tape. So the way that he taped. The novel makes it out that it says, and it's like, oh, are you threatening me? And then
so he doctored.
It says like, I am the Senate or whatever. It's like suddenly the audio cuts out, and then it returns with. Anyways, it's showing they omit when the playback of this audio, they omit the parts that are.
Damning
to Palpatine, and that's what he plays for everybody on Space CNN. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, but he has to cut out a lot though. He has to cut out the lightsaber fight. But then
He does.
How does he explain the 3 dead Jedi?
Damn.
I don't know.
Incinerator. No one knows.
But anyways, but
Also
at the same time, you can get bogged down in these types of particulars and lose aim of what's the story.
We should get more bogged down.
You can get Boga down.
Originally
Bogan,
Anakin was supposed to show up sooner, and if you pay close attention when you watch this movie, when he's fighting Mace Windu, and he's like holding the lightsaber like right in front of his face like this, he's going yeah. He's actually the hilt is actually Anakin's hilt with a red lightsaber.
Oh,
because originally the scene was he was supposed to grab Anakin's lightsaber and fight with it. But then they changed it in post.
Interesting.
To be
Which then begs the question, and I might as well ask it now because it's a perfect cue up.
Yeah.
I talked about this with you. Do you think that Mace beat Palpatine, or did Palpatine let himself get beat? Now, here's why I ask that. If in the cut, Anakin's nowhere around watching it, so he's already on his back by the time Anakin enters the room. That could lead us for like why is Palpatine faking it unless he senses Anakin coming? But in the original cut, Anakin's walking down the hallway the whole time. You can see footage of it online. You could if you search for it. And that fight was supposed to be a lot longer too. There's footage of the stuntmen practicing for it, especially for Kit Fisto and all those guys. They give him a couple more seconds of a fight for God's sake. But Anakin comes in. But if Anakin's there the whole time, and then did Palpatine let himself get beat by Mace? Was Mace the better swordsman that time, or did Palpatine let him? That's what I wonder.
My take on this is that Mace beat Palpatine. That's my take.
Oh yeah, well I think Palpatine let him.
Damn. Kevin?
Civil war without end.
Oh, I mean, you watch the Clone Wars. Palpatine looks like he can destroy him. He beat Maul and his brother like 1-on-2.
Savage wasn't really.
And he smiled the whole time he did it.
Yeah,
Savage is not like.
He was having fun.
Come on.
And if Mace can beat Palpatine, I think that takes away. I think it's kind of more defeatist if you realize that even if Anakin tried to fight and kill Palpatine on his own during the Revelation,
or
that he would die too. Like that Palpatine was just so strong. You know what I mean?
Maybe Mace is just a master of lightsaber form 76 Vapad, and he was able to channel the dark side of the Force in this one Legends paragraph that I read in 3rd grade.
It was a good novel. It was called Shatterpoint.
Okay, so Kevin, answer the question.
I'm going to go with what I went with the first time I saw it. I think that Mace does take him out.
Okay,
so
I'm curious too for everyone
I've been
listening
back
and
and
watching.
Forth. I have, but I think.
Yeah, with the knowledge of knowing that Anakin was supposed to watch the whole time when they shot it, maybe.
I think it was all part of his grand plan to like.
See, I told you I was right. The Jedi are taking over.
Well, see, I mean, you could also
can't say that if you're winning, bro.
And to counter that, like Anakin's watching the whole time. The thing is, Palpatine, if he knows Anakin's watching, right? He's not going to necessarily try to win that fight. He just is anticipating Anakin intervening. That's the whole point. Yeah. It's not about Palpatine trying to win the fight. It's about getting Anakin to intervene and complete his turn to the dark side and start that. So I guess you would really never know if Palpatine's true intention
I wonder
with
if
this
the novel
encounter
sheds light in it, or
I don't know.
That would be one thing I could look up. It's such a great novel. I implore everybody to listen to it. It's great audio too. If you want to listen, I read and listened to it.
How? I don't know. What was I going to say? Something about Mace Windu.
He's awesome.
He is pretty awesome, but he's also kind of like a dick.
I mean, yes, most awesome people are.
Are you saying that you're awesome, Frank?
I'm saying Kevin.
I am really awesome.
No, yeah, my mind.
I'm the awesomest.
My mind just went completely blank. There's definitely something about Palpatine and Mace
Your
Windu.
poor mind.
Oh,
I mean, right here, he just needs to go
it.
forward.
It came back to me.
Esophagus, right there.
I just need more caffeine. But actually, wait, now I got to talk about this scene. Have you seen people point out this is the scene?
Well, we're not doing a watch along right now.
This is the scene for those at home. This is the scene where he's like, "You're the Sith Lord," and he's like, "Do you want to kill me? I would certainly like to." When Anakin first whips out his lightsaber, when Palpatine's fidgeting with his hands behind his back, I think you could actually see the lightsaber fall out of his sleeve just a little bit. Like he has like a reflex where he's like, I might have to like stop Anakin from killing me right now.
Do I have to now investigate this?
I think if you look at his hands, it's a little tough to see, but I think it is there.
I see what you're saying with his hand going up.
It's a little bit. It's a little bit before
fidgeting.
this. It's a little bit before this.
But the fidgeting I like. It's kind of like a gunslinger.
Right there. It's at that angle right there when he first ignites the lightsaber. So
yeah, he has it ready. I like that. That's a
cool
subtle.
little.
got it
Yeah, I
ready
never
to
really
go.
noticed that.
I feel like
actually.
that's a George Lucas thing that he's just like, that's great. No,
So this kind of leads me to my next point of, Anakin slices off Mace Windu's hand when Mace Windu comes
Arm.
down to kill. No, he slices off just his hand.
yeah, he's like this.
Yeah.
He's not like
arm.
this.
Oh, never mind. Okay.
He slices off his hand when he goes to kill Palpatine. Is like, how hard was Palpatine banking on the fact that Anakin would like stop Mace Windu? Like, what if he really banked on it and then Anakin just let it happen? Or would Palpatine at the very last second just use the Force and stop?
My
the blade?
argument is that was the weak. Like, first of all, if I'm gonna kill you like this, I'm down, and it's a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like an axe where you need like momentum. I could just be like, whoop, and then you're decapitated.
Yeah, for
he
him,
does this.
for him to go back, he's like, I'm like, why wasting
Sure,
time?
sure,
and you're also putting yourself in a vulnerable position by bringing the
That's why I
lightsaber
think
all the
that
ways
now
behind
I'm gonna
you.
change my thing. I think Palpatine let him beat him because I think he knew the whole time it wasn't gonna happen.
I don't know.
Team Palps guy.
And also, either way, whether he let him win or he lost fair and square, like he was purposely doing this to manipulate Anakin in some way.
Yes.
So
Which just kind of goes to the point of like we might never really know the motive. Like
yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is, would you allow your face to get that deformed if it meant you became the Emperor of the Galaxy?
Here's what I think though. I think that Palpatine was so strong in the Force or the dark side of the Force that's what it did to his face, and that any time he was out in public or anyone had to see him, he had to channel more of the dark side for his face to look normal, as opposed to what he had actually become because of the dark side.
See, I
That's
like
just a
that
little-
headcanon, and here's why.
Yeah,
I think
and
he is a
wasn't here
Sith Lord,
I
and the Sith Lord is a changeling.
I wasn't with the Attack of the Clones episode last week, but if you notice in Attack of the Clones, he has purple, like his eyes are getting more sunk, and
He looks really old.
He just looks old.
his
yeah.
old, yeah, and his hair, and he has like more of the liver spots, and like there's like a shot, there's a famous like photo of him with like purple under his eyes.
Yeah, yeah, I understand.
And I
Yeah.
was like, dude, the dark side slowly corrupted him. I love that. And then in episode 3, it looks like he went to Club Med. He just never looked better. He has like nice silver white hair.
It's almost like George was like, oh, he made him too old in the last
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, he
make
makes
him look younger
Makes
again.
him real sharp, silver-haired guy. He could probably go to any golf. It looks like he's going to go golfing, right? But so I think that was a radical departure, and I wonder what made him do that, because I would have loved if like in episode 3 he's like he wouldn't be as bad as the Emperor per se, but if he's really getting, and it's kind of like those pictures of before and after the war, like President Lincoln, like before, and then you see 4 years later after the war how much aged he get, and it's like, talk about Palpatine after the Clone Wars, like he looked like this, and then he looks like the Emperor, like maybe that's what happens.
I mean, what if he's using some nicer magic to be like, hey, give me a nice face?
I don't know.
He got a nice, he went to
got a facelift.
he went to Burke Williams, got like a nice like $599 massage, and like with the little rocks on his back, but yeah, he looks fresh, and I didn't like that. I thought that it would have been cooler if he was just slowly degrading to that. But that's why I kind of like what you're saying, is that maybe he was always just holding it off, using the Force, and then he was finally like, cool, I can let it go now.
Yeah.
Let it fly. Let the wrinkles
And
fly.
it's another manipulative type of tactic where look what Mace is doing to me. Look at my face now.
Yeah.
And again, it's an argument he could tell to the Senate. Look at my face. Look at
And
my
even
don't
his
know,
voice,
man.
who's like, hell,
like I'm just like, I think it might have been the lightning.
you must choose.
Like because afterwards he's like breathing really heavy. He like almost sounds like Darth Vader. He's
Hey,
like,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. In Return of the Jedi, when Luke's getting electrocuted,
Yeah.
how come his face doesn't change?
it was over, like, because it was over his whole body. Like,
But does his
where-
face?
you
Does his
should
face
see-
include his whole body? No, don't say
wait,
it. Don't say it.
All right, I
Wait.
did it. It was a PG show. Who's going there?
Because I was gonna say, I think this is another Robot Chicken episode.
Probably.
Where
Our resident
where,
robot chicken expert.
where Anakin is like, oh, are you okay? Because all of that lightning bounced off of Mace Windu's lightsaber and went into your face. He's like, I don't think there was one bit of lightning that did not bounce off of Master Windu's lightsaber and hit you directly in the face. Like, it just all went to his face.
Yeah. Like why?
Luke got it like all over his body.
But also in his face. It was in his teeth.
dude, all that smoke was coming up, and
Telling you.
he's like breathing really heavy,
You know
and
how
like
bad it smells?
and his voice, and his
Yeah.
and the weird thing is his voice is like
I
modulated.
actually have a funny story.
His voice
about
is like
burning.
modulated and really deep.
Yeah.
Up until he puts the hood on, and then he talks like the normal Emperor Palpatine again. He's
His
like
true self.
He's like good,
His true self. He is so fueled.
and then he puts the hood on, and he's like good.
He had phlegm. He had space phlegm. From
Speaking of
lightning.
burning, I could have
Go
saved this
back
for
and
the
watch it.
end
It's
of
that
the episode,
moment.
but I'll bring it up now.
We're going a little Tarantino with this episode.
Sometimes we're bringing up one of the cats here, Galaxy. Burned her tail this morning. Burned her. A candle was lit and just burned her tail.
Oh my god!
Caught on fire.
Did it do it in the cartoons where it did this?
Yeah.
And like jump in the air with
Kind-
all the things,
kinda-
the eyes.
What a
coming
real
out?
geek
Kinda.
that Galaxy.
Kind of, but she's doing all right. She's doing good now.
No, that's good.
I just thought it was kind of.
Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Galaxy.
So
she had 8 more lives. anyway.
let's talk about the Padmé Anakin relationship and how it was received and how you received it compared to Attack of the Clones. Because Padmé is like
Coruscant looks really good in
hardcore.
this movie.
Yes, it
I just gotta say, it's on right
Yeah.
now.
yeah,
Stunning.
Padmé is like full blown, all in love with Anakin, where she was very resistant in Attack of the Clones.
Because I'm so in love with you.
No, I'm so in love with you. You know what? I had this idea the other night. I was like, I'm gonna print up sides for that scene and make you, Brandon, and Kevin read it, reenact it.
So love
And
is
that would
blind
be
with you.
officially my last episode on Scoundrels Inc.
Are you Anakin or Padme?
Jeez. Moving on.
Well, he would have to be Anakin. I'm sorry,
Well,
because you have to tell your Anakin story because
Are
you weren't here
saying
last
that I
week
look
to tell it.
pregnant?
Yeah, I'll tell it another time. But basically,
No, actually, I know you're gonna tell it. Don't worry.
I would just say this. It relates to Order 66. So when we get there, I can kind of tell you what my plan was, but we're not there yet. So when we get there, I'll tell
Order
you about it.
69, bro.
But I do enjoy. I thought that their relationship. I love the love theme, making a nice triumphant return in this movie. And you got shirtless Anakin. All the girls were loving that. I love the Japor snippet.
Japor
dude.
snippet was great. That's
and
a
then you
great
see it later, but
the
like
end,
right
yeah.
there, he's like, I remember giving this to you. Like, yeah, give a little love to the Jake Lloyd Anakin. I like that because they really, and you even hear his Anakin theme from Episode 1 played right there in that scene. It's great, and that is a scene. Funny enough, I know that these two are together, but it reminded me that lighting. We're talking about the nighttime after the dream.
Yes.
And he's saying, "Oh, I remember giving this to you." That scene and the lighting and the pacing reminded me of the Luke and Leia scene about like, I must go to, he's my father and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it gave me real Return of the Jedi vibes, and I was just like,
Interesting.
man, this movie's on point for being the third in a trilogy, and I really liked it. And again, I think that in Episode 2, I wasn't part of it. Did you guys talk about the cut scenes with Naboo with the family of Padme?
Nah. Bro,
Okay,
it's a trip.
That's
That episode's
huge
a trip.
thing. If we ever do a Frank cut of Episode 2, I mean, there are scenes with Padme's family, and I get it. I get it was already long at 2 hours 20. But if you have those scenes in it, you have a scene of Anakin talking to her father, and Padme and her sister and her mom are in the kitchen, and they look out the window and see Anakin talking to her father, and like it is great. And then you have a scene of the Anakin and Padme in her bedroom. That's not what you're thinking. They're actually looking at Hogwarts style photos of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's really good. You should look at it online. And I think that would have added a lot to that romance and made it a little less kind of out of nowhere. And so for this one, I think it's cool. I mean, Padme really in this movie, though, does take a backseat. You're going from like...
Yeah, she really does.
The
She
midriff...
really does.
Like now I'm in a hot midriff with a perfect cut. You go the badass girl with like the Leia outfit or with the white outfit, which we're trying to pull off in a KOTOR movie we're doing. I'm trying to get that for Bastila as an homage. But you go from that to now she's just almost like Susie Homemaker with like her little belly, and like she's like scared about what's gonna happen, and Anakin's like, this is a happy time, don't worry about it. And then the other thing another thing that they just shortchanged Padme a lot. I know that the Confederacy of 1,000, or I'm sorry, the Confederacy, the
Petition.
Delegation?
Delegation of
Petition.
1,000 or
It's
whatever.
petition?
Yeah.
Petition of 1,000.
I'm challenging that.
Those
Go ahead.
scenes that were deleted were kind of a bummer because there's a great scene where Anakin's standing behind Palpatine during a meeting, and like she's like, on behalf of the delegation, it's the delegation,
Right in the face.
on behalf of the delegation of 1,000, we thank you. And like they leave, and like before she leaves, she looks at Anakin like, are you gonna fucking do something? And then later which gets a little more into like, now you're sounding like a separatist. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot that they still like cut out. It's like I understand you needed your 5 lightsaber fights, but like you're cutting out some great stuff between Anakin and Padmé. So I do think that your version, if we ever go back and revisit the Frank cut,
But I think
we put in those scenes, especially because of Rogue One, like it informs that movie.
I'll say I think like the exclusion,
Andor, I mean.
the reason those are deleted because I think George probably felt, at least in this movie, they had done enough with Padmé and Anakin's relationship, and it's more just about Palpatine, Anakin, the Jedi, and Obi-Wan, and
Jedi
like.
worry.
And there's another cut scene that's great. I told you, but unfortunately, they never really finalized the graphics.
By the way, guys, not just a hand; it was an arm.
No, that's his hand. What are you talking about?
Watch.
Let's see.
Oh well, I guess his sleeve kind of.
The sleeve's covering it. It's
But
his hand.
like-
No, it's
That's
his
a
hand. You can see the
hand.
But
nub.
it does look like the arm.
You see the
I'm not
nub. But Anakin and Palpatine.
See the
there's
nub.
a great scene right before he asks Anakin to, I must ask you something. I want you to be the eyes.
It's like
and
his
ears
forearm. It's like a little. It's a high on the wrist. It's a high wrist. Sorry.
It's all right. I've lost track of what I was saying.
Poor Mace Windu, man.
He could have survived. He could survive that drop. I'm not gonna lie.
I remember.
Anyways,
Well, I remember I think it was like the 2017 Star Wars Celebration. Samuel L. Jackson came on screen and
yeah, I do remember.
he was
yeah.
like, Kathy, to my understanding, Jedis can fall great distances and survive.
I do remember this.
Man, the Anakin thing. Oh yeah, Anakin and and Palpatine are talking, and before that, of him asking to be the eyes and ears, he's like, oh, Obi-Wan has been spending more time with Padmé. He's literally one of the plots that's in the book, and there's even a scene when he's looking at like that Game Boy Advance thing, and he puts it down. Yeah, I don't know if they ever shot it, but at first he's looking through the records of their home and sees, why was Obi-Wan here? And in the novel, he's like, well, why is Obi-Wan here? And she's like, I think that's in the movie, but it's way more pronounced in the novel. And Palpatine really tries to do like convince him that like, oh, Obi-Wan might have a thing for Padmé, which is crazy.
I know Obi-Wan's got like a girlfriend on like Mandalore or whatever, but in terms of the films, nobody gives off platonic energy more than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It's true.
That dude's just like, I'm here to do 2 things. That is cut Sith Lords in half and watch them burn.
And I'm all out of cutting them in half.
I really recommend these
And hanging out with my boy Dex. Never had. Remember that one time we drank 2 gallons of Java juice? That was crazy.
Oh my God.
Oh, so I've been told from a certain point of view. There was something else I was going to say. I keep
Obi-Wan,
saying
the
that a lot.
perennial friendship zone.
Yeah.
My brain is just all over the place, just like the Galactic Republic in the latest days before the rise of the Empire.
What voice are you doing?
I don't know. It's kind of like an Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's kind of like my own Jedi, really.
Oh,
Well, there's a little bit of Palpatine in there for sure.
okay.
It's evolving.
Well, so we have this relationship that we see. Which I think it makes more. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead. No. Yeah, go ahead. No, go.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Frank.
If it's about fucking Mace's
I
arm,
just
I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving right now.
So I think it's just below. You know how like some of us have these little like nubby things that stick out, but on like one hand it's
Your
bigger
wrist?
than the others. Yeah, little nubby thingies.
Bone?
Anyways, I hate the bones. Okay.
Forget about what you were trying to say again.
I almost did.
You're derailing yourself now.
I remember hearing somewhere, I don't remember where, that the reason we don't see a lot of Padme in this movie is because her and George Lucas didn't get along.
Oh,
Is there any truth to that?
I'm not bad. I'm not
Do
Natalie
you
Portman.
not know? Were you not on set with Rick
No,
McCallum?
I wasn't.
Get Rick in the room. We need to know.
I don't know. I mean, I know Natalie Portman at this stage in the game was starting to do a lot more movies outside of Star Wars, but also have more of a name recognition. I think she did.
They signed a contract though.
She did. She had to do all these 3, and same thing with Ewan and whatnot.
And she's pregnant. I mean, what do you want her to do? Jump on her? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
at this
she can't
point,
really. Yeah,
can't
I mean,
be
you
really part of the
could, but
action.
I mean, this is 2005 now. It's like,
Yeah.
So
Padme can
different.
fall great distances onto her crotch.
I know.
And be totally fine. There was a great TikTok about this a couple of years
Yes,
ago.
yeah.
So if she can do that, imagine what she could do pregnant.
But what's interesting though here, then
should have sent her to kill Grievous.
the one of the most interesting parts of this movie though is when, yeah, you're right, when Palpatine is assigning him to be the eyes and ears of the Republic and be on the Jedi Council. But it's this whole back and forth, this whole manipulation between what Palpatine's doing and what the Jedi Order is asking of Anakin to spy on a friend, on a mentor. That's out of place here. But this whole the Council uses Obi-Wan to do this because you're the closest to Anakin, obviously, and Anakin's the closest to Palpatine. So it's just
Great
everyone
acting by Ewan when he's like, the Council's asking.
I think it's I think it's one of the best scenes in the prequels of the saga. Really, I mean, it's such a turning point for everything where it's all coming at Anakin. He's like, the Jedi Order. Yes, he's still at odds with them, but he is still a servant and loyal to the Jedi Order. But then his friend Palpatine, who is the Chancellor, who has all this power, has put him in positions of power on the Jedi Council, which is denying him rank like that. And so I just feel like this is such a tragic part of Anakin's story that is told in kind of what you would call, I guess, the lull of the movie, where it's just really setting up everything else that's going to come, later on in the movie. But I really look at this part of the movie and I just feel like bad for my guy Anakin. Like, damn, dude, this guy he just could not win. He just could not win.
I think the Clone Wars thankfully had that Ahsoka arc where they set it up. Because at first when the Clone Wars came out, I didn't like how it didn't feel congruent. Like, he looked like Anakin was getting along with everybody. Like, he's doing all these missions. And it's like, it just made no sense that why wouldn't they send him on the mission? But that Ahsoka arc, and that really started showing his more being jaded by the Jedi Council. I still think that Clone Wars could have made it to where throughout the whole series, the Jedi were kind of dicks to him.
Yeah.
And that goes into, again, when we get to Order 66, I'll tell you what my plan was when I was going to do that thing that I was going to do.
It's happening right now on the TV screen.
Yeah.
Commander Cody.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. But
do any of her clones have he has the best shout out of any clone, I think, in the series.
Cody?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Like we hear oddball, but like
Commander Cody, the time
Well,
has
yeah,
come.
because it's said by Palpatine. Yeah.
I never liked that. I just think Cody felt like a Star Wars name. Cody. It's like, oh, hey, Cody and Commander David, please come. And is that his last name? Or are we doing Commander Steve, Commander John, Commander Bobby? Like, I always just thought that Cody was like, hey, Cody. Like, I think it's also because Cody sounds like a guy that would be like on your water polo team in high school. Like, Cody's like the captain of the water polo squad, right? This sounds like it. Like tall and like
how
buff
special,
and good looking, and
Wait, what?
He is. How special is Cody though to Palpatine? Because that was the first call he made.
Well,
also, could I ask why?
not really. Not
Cody,
not in my cut. Not in my cut. Not in my cut.
Cody, you're not going to believe this. Anakin just joined me. It's great.
I want to see the deleted scene where Palpatine's sitting there and he's like, okay, I should start.
Go through the Rolodex.
He's like, Cody, execute order 66. Then he's like, all right, Commander Bobby, execute order. Like, why don't you select all, highlight, and just all together now? Because if you do Cody and they're doing it, then someone else is going to find another galaxy. Yeah. But he's just sitting there like, it's like, learn how to group text. Everybody group text now.
Yeah, how many calls did he make?
Yeah, he had to make several individual calls when he
check the logs.
Yeah, he should have just been, there should have been like a button like call all, and he's like, Commander, everyone in the
At the very end, he's like,
Commander Rex, the time.
Actually, the very end, it would be Commander Xandar.
He's only at the end of the alphabet now.
Damn last name, Commander Xandar or Zach. It would be Commander Zach.
66. Do the thing. Kill the Jedi. All right.
I know what I'm saying. I've lost my voice.
But no, I'm really curious on your thoughts about this part of Anakin's story of this movie, where he's in between the Jedi Order, Obi-Wan, and Palpatine. What are your thoughts about? Because there's a lot of talk about, well, the Jedi failed Anakin, or is it as simple as that?
I think it, like, I don't know, like all these years later, I think it plays a lot better than it did when it first came out. When the movie first came out, I think everyone was kind of like, wow, that happened really fast.
Sure.
Like all of a sudden, this dude is like Palpatine's like,
henceforth, you should be known as Darth. I haven't really thought of this. Vader, that sounds cool. And now you're stuck with that for the rest of your life. It's just like on a dime. But like, with the context of like the Clone Wars and just like
being so ingrained in the Star Wars universe, like we know where Anakin is at this point in time. And in the context of all of that, it makes sense. I think it does play well in the movie. And I think, like you said, like a lot of it is highlighted by like Obi-Wan and like Ewan McGregor's acting like alongside Anakin.
Yeah.
You know, like the council's asking this of you. And you could like see their friendship and you could see that trust that they have for one another. But ultimately, I think, you know, and then also watching the fall of Dooku and even like seeing more of that with Tales of the Jedi, it gives a better understanding of like what really happens to someone when they turn to the dark side. Like the dark side of the Force consumes them. It changes them, turns them into a different person completely.
Yeah.
Like Count Dooku was a good man, but then the moment he like gave into the dark side, he became a piece of crap.
Yeah, it consumed him. You're right. Yeah.
Like he just
All-encompassing,
became a horrible
yeah.
person. And same thing with Anakin. And that's why like you're like Anakin was like a good guy and now he's like killing younglings. And I'm like, yeah, it's horrible, but like, you know, in the context of understanding what the dark side does to you, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Clone Wars was a good bridge to it because the only thing that bugs me is like he's just saying bye to Obi-Wan, saying I've been arrogant.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I understand. And then
Fake
like,
apology.
and then 2 days later, he's committing mass murder of children, like, which is just nuts. Like, I want to see the hologram
This
footage.
is nuts.
I mean, there was a horrible video someone did once where they did a Jedi Academy mod and you can go into the room with all the kids, and it was like, and it had a mod on top of that where it's decapitation, so arms, heads flying, and they had their son, who was the modder, had son like do these kids screaming, and you can see the Anakin go in. It might be online still.
Okay, just stop talking.
But here's
now.
the
We
thing.
get it.
Show's
So
canceled.
I still think no matter what, it is so hard to do that, such a turn. And I get that you had to because it's in this movie. And I think sometimes that's the only thing where I'm like, oh, maybe episode 2 could have been 1 and episode 3 could have been 2. And then like a long war movie, like an Apocalypse Now war movie where you see the war really change Anakin, but the war doesn't really change him. He's very heroic throughout the Clone Wars. Which
He's very acclimated.
Yes, where
you know?
it's
Like the clones are.
To be honest, in our Revan prequel, Revan everyone knows turns to the dark side during the Mandalorian Wars, and I'm really going to take that opportunity when I do that prequel series to do what I think it should have been done with Anakin. Like Revan literally is so obsessed with winning the war that at one point he destroys a spoiler alert, sorry for KOTOR 2, you find it out. He destroys a planet that knowing all of his soldiers are on there, but he knows that it will end the war there, and he's so consumed with trying to win the war. So Anakin's slow descent from war, I think, would have been made it a little more smoother, but it's very hard. He just says, what have I done? And then Palpatine's like, well, you got to kill everybody, including the kids. And then he's killing kids. And like, as a father, like, it's just crazy to think that someone could go and like murder. I mean, and as a not a father, it would be crazy for you guys to think it too, but like, he murders children. Everybody's talking about, oh, Kylo Ren's irredeemable. He stabbed Han Solo, and like, meanwhile, Ghost Anakin's over
That's
here.
because
Like,
Han
hold
Solo.
my beer. I murdered an entire like kindergarten class.
That's because Han Solo's my boy. I don't know those kids.
Man, have a heart, bro. I also want to talk about. We have to talk about one of the.
Liam's not in there.
I didn't
He's
wanna ignore
graduated
your
to
question.
Padawan at that point.
I feel really bad for Anakin. When you do rewatch it, especially the older we get and we're less about the lightsaber fights and more about the story, he really is torn. Like it's not fair. They put him in a horrible position. They really mishandle. Like if you talk about like parents that like mishandle their child and that's why they ended up like, you know, committing a mass shooting, like the Jedi really mishandled Anakin. Like it was already a juggle, or it was already a gamble doing it when you're starting him when he was older, but like the lack of trust, like I mean, Mace was a total prick to him after like he literally came to like turn him in. He should have brought Anakin with him to the Senate, and or, you know, he should have showed Anakin like, no, I got your back, dude. Like, and they didn't do it. And I think that Anakin, of course, at that point, he's like, dude, these guys are pricks. Like, Palpatine's been nothing but nice to me. And now he says I could save Padme. So everything about that's great. I just think maybe, and I know it's an iconic scene, but maybe the turn would have been a little easier for me to handle if he was just knowing, like, he saw, like, the stormtroopers go in. Oh, that would be kind of, like, if he saw the clone troopers go into, like, the kindergarten ward or whatever, and he knew what they were doing, and he almost be torn, and then he's like, no, I'm not trying to like fan fiction it. Like I'm not trying to be like some other. I'm just saying it would have been interesting if he wasn't the one like because when he's hugging and what I can't not unsee is when he's holding Padmé's hand and saying, "Don't worry, I'll be back from." It's right here, actually. No, it's right here, actually. I didn't even mean it. And like those hands literally murdered. I think kids like that were 4 years old, 5 years old. Like I would rather have it just been like he hears the order like oh we've gone into the infant ward or whatever and we've took care of took care of the baby ward. Yeah. Believe me, dude.
The war of the terrible.
I think I do think you're making a really good point, and I think that would have been an improvement over like. Because it is tough. Like, you see the guy whip out his lightsaber. It's, like, pretty messed up.
With the kid, like, doing jolting.
Yeah. I think it would have been much more impactful and much more understanding for us as viewers if, like, let's see, like, he's, like, killing Jedi or whatever, like, fully grown adult Jedi. Yeah. And then he sees the clone troopers go into the room with all the...
It has like a baby
with all the younglings
above it.
With all the young because they're like in like the council chamber, I think.
Yeah, they're all hiding.
They're in a classroom. It was a classroom.
They're in the council.
Which you just it breaks your heart. They're like, hey kids, go into the council chamber and hide behind the chairs. We'll be right back. And then when Anakin comes, I mean, again, look, goosebumps because it is a powerful.
It would have been better, if the clones go in and the door closes and like and he kind of stops and then just keeps.
I just want to throw out there that we're also talking about this from the point of view of adults. Right?
Kids want to see the
you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you convey a dark side turn without being overly graphic? Yeah. For stories that are intentionally made for children,
about
right?
making it a little less graphic.
No, but even to like Kevin's point is like, hey, this would hit harder, blah blah blah. And that's from a point of view
of... Put the black
of,
hat on Anakin more by killing the... You're doing the mustache... Like it's,
it's more... like, we're talking about it from the point of view of an adult, but how would a 10-year-old,
At that point...
What do they need?
At that point, the 10-year-olds are already sold. He already said, like, I will do anything you ask. Ooh. Like, there's, like... That's like there's, like, so many red flags to me, like, with Palpatine, like, that Anakin, like, trusted him, like, all the way up until that point. Like the guy that went, do it, to decapitating Dooku, red flag number 1. Man walks around with T-Rex hands, red flag number 2.
But look at those aren't red. I
can go on.
Those are
him
green flags.
Everything
That's
about the Sith, red flag number 3.
Yeah.
Hey,
you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Brandon, those are all green flags for Anakin. They're red flags for us, but they're seen as green flags for Anakin because Palpatine's letting Anakin be who he wants to be, and Anakin's at odds with the Jedi Order
the way we want them to be.
Exactly. And he's at odds with the Order when he's talking to Padmé in their apartment, and he's like, I know I want more. Obi-Wan's holding me back, blah, blah, blah. He has all that, although he has those conversations with Padmé. He knows he shouldn't want any of that. But here comes Palpatine saying, no, it's okay that you want that stuff. Yeah. Even if it goes against the Jedi Order. The Jedi Order.
You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis?
I'm not saying they're not red flags, but they're not for Anakin. You ever
hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, my Sith master that literally nobody knows about because we lived in secrecy for 1,000 years? You know that guy? You ever hear that tragedy? I'm the only one who knows the tragedy. You want to know why? Because I was freaking there, bro.
Let's talk about... Red flag. I want to talk about that scene, though,
huge red flag.
It is such a... Actually, I want to give a shout out to Sean real quick, too, because... maybe a couple months ago, he sent me, or he put it in the Discord too. It was a song that, what is it called? It is called, what the hell is that called? Oh man, it's a song that uses the lines that Palpatine uses, the Darth Plagueis. They use it. It's the lyrics for a song, and I cannot think of the name of the song, so you guys have to talk. Okay, well, I will be happy to talk because I got so many thoughts about what happened when Palpatine killed Darth Plagueis in his sleep. Did he go back to Exegol because, like, Sith, a planet full of Sith worshippers at their disposal at all times? So, anyways, guys, I killed Plagueis in his sleep, so guess I'm your boss now. What happened there, Kevin? What do you think?
I don't know, man.
What the hell?
In the novel, he was getting elected. He was just elected chancellor, so he can't really go back to Exegol. He kills him in his sleep if you've read Plagueis.
Okay, the name of the song.
Well, he says it in
the name of the song is called "Peeve Shalpatine," and it's by Canadian Softball.
Oh wow!
And it's pretty emo.
Getting
It's
rid
pretty
of the
awesome.
baseball stuff.
Right. It's pretty great. It's a pretty great. If you haven't listened to it, give it a whirl, give it a shot. Hit a play.
To bring up Rise of Skywalker one more time, when he does say that line, The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities. Some consider to be unnatural.
Were you in the crowd doing this? Ha!
Hell yeah, I was. I was like,
Yes, he said the thing. He said it. Yes.
I like the prequels. Okay,
Okay.
like when they pay respect to the prequels and the new stuff, it's cool.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it's awesome.
Because you feel like there was a mandate early on where they were like, try to make it more like an original trilogy as much as you can. Let's get it skyway. And then a new movement came where everybody likes the prequels, and now you have the Mandalorian flying an N1 Starfighter. So
Hell yeah, bro.
There's a scene in this movie when Anakin and Obi-Wan part from each other for the very last time as friends.
Very sad.
I'm curious, do you always pay extra? I know I do. I always pay extra special attention to that moment when Anakin says, "May the Force be with you," and you know.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing.
I was literally, I was watching that scene last night, and Sabrina was on the couch just on her phone, and I just like looked at her and I was like,
That's it.
I was like, are you watching this? This is the last time that they speak to each other as friends.
Yeah,
It's a great scene.
Isn't it sad? She was like, yes, it's very sad.
You just wish, it's like no. Obi-Wan should have been like, dude, you know what? Just come with us. Like we could use someone like you, but like he should have brought him.
And he agrees.
Goodbye, old friend.
Unless it's a wild bantha chase, but
Yeah,
but
maybe
Obi-Wan knows.
Yeah, he
knows. But he's so beholden to the Order. That's part of. See,
the Order is so
if that was
dogmatic.
Qui-Gon would be like, yeah, you can hop in the back.
Qui-Gon
Anakin.
and Dooku to that. That's why
Yeah.
Qui-Gon is Dooku's apprentice. Let's in spirit, meaning like I mean, obviously in reality too, but like he carried over that kind of outlawish kind of idea about
Except
the Jedi Order. And
I
agree with Palpatine when he's like, don't listen to the dogmatic. Like the
Narrow
Jedi
view
were
of the
so just set in their ways, and they were wrong. And I feel like hopefully in the end that even Yoda realized, like, man, we were fucking wrong. I hope he told him off camera to Luke, like, dude, we were way wrong, dude. We were way off on the way of things. You should find Mara Jade out there and make love to her. Don't go to
They were definitely they have great ideas, but they were definitely too rigid. And
But
yeah.
I wonder if something happens in the High Republic in Acolyte will show us why they got rigid.
Even in the original trilogy, though, like they're still like they should have learned their lesson, but they are still kind of stuck in their ways. Like Obi-Wan had two opportunities now that the Obi-Wan series came out. He had two opportunities to easily kill Darth Vader and didn't take it. And then Luke comes around, and then Obi-Wan's like, Luke, you got to kill your dad or you're a bitch. Like, that's basically what he does.
Yeah.
He's like,
and
the Emperor has already won. He's like gaslighting him and like
really
manipulating him. Like, oh, if you can't do it.
then you're not a Jedi.
Yeah, and then even some of the things that Yoda preaches, like most of it is like great, like a Jedi uses the Force for knowledge, and defense, never attack. But some of it is like still, I think they still, it takes them a little longer to still learn their lessons. I feel like Luke is the one thinking the most logically. To get to later in the sequel trilogy, when he says some of the things that he says, he calls it all out.
Well, Luke, I think, also was the first Jedi to say, no, I'm going to save my dad with love. I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to listen to you. You guys were wrong. Luke basically in Return of the Jedi is basically saying everything you did that led to Revenge of the Sith, this movie we're talking about, I'm not going to do that because you were wrong, Obi-Wan. You went out there and you weren't trying to save him on Mustafar. You will do what you must. No, you should have kept trying to get at him. I'm going to save my father with love, not hate.
You know who that's like? One of the best Jedi ever. Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
Ahsoka Tano would never listen to that advice from Obi-Wan and be like, no.
Yeah.
She doesn't even want to kill clones that are trying to kill her in Order 66.
In this movie, Obi-Wan and Yoda, they don't care. Yoda cuts two heads off immediately.
I mean, look.
Oh, in that scene outside the temple. Yeah, he's
scene outside the
throwing his
temple.
saber like a. He's like grandstanding.
I wanna-
to be honest.
That's one of the best shots in all of Star Wars.
It
when
is
he
pretty
just
cool.
chucks his
That was a
saber
TV spot,
and
I
then
believe.
pulls it out. Crazy.
So good. And also, I love that because it was the two mentors of Luke Skywalker in the height of their prime, finally killing humans, not droids, and just kicking ass.
And also showing that there's a reason that they were two of the very few Jedi to survive Order 66. They were outside that temple taking on like 50 clones.
You know who would have...
Without breaking a sweat.
You know who also would have survived Order 66? Mace. He would have survived.
Yeah, he probably would. I'll tell you this.
Didn't make it. He couldn't even make it to Order 66.
Right before that scene outside the temple. if you could look this online too.
The
They
deleted
filmed a
scenes?
scene where they're, and it's in the novel too. They're actually in the underbelly of the temple trying to get in. But the directive was to put hoods over the clones. And then Yoda in the novel, Yoda is in a carriage, and Obi-Wan's trying to pass him off as a baby, and he's pushing the carriage. And then in the novel, the clone trooper looks down, and is like, "That's an ugly baby," and then done, like decapitated, like you said.
Yeah.
And then that whole thing fights, and they did shoot some of it. You can see footage
That's
of clones in robes.
I totally
so
forgot about that
ridiculous.
deleted scene. I watched it last night, actually. I watched it. Not the baby carriage part, because you can...
Baby carriage, I think, is only in the novel.
Okay. But yeah, the deleted where you see, and Obi-Wan's like, you guys don't look that great as Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys try a little harder. But let's. So we talked about pretty much the Palpatine, Mace, Anakin, all that stuff already. Get into Order 66. I mean, this was like another thing that's been talked about, whispered about in A New Hope. This goes all the way back to Obi-Wan talking to Luke in his hut in A New Hope, where Darth Vader hunt down
and
destroy the Jedi Knights. This is, decades in the making, this sequence. Man, I was like, I don't know how this is going to happen. How can we can see Anakin go around hunting down individuals. I'm like, no, it was this whole thing where the clones chip. We would later find out about the chip thing.
And brilliant on their part too. Like all the Jedi are spread throughout.
Yeah.
So they're not. They're
They're
strength
all
in
alone.
numbers like
Yeah.
you see in the arena, but here, they're all spread out and they're able to be kind of picked out one by one, which was a brilliant plan. If you're kind of mapping,
And bitch
I bet
means, by the way, I mean, they really like cheap shot. I mean, just firing squads. Oh, you're on a speeder bike. We're gonna pull back and now shoot you.
More
like,
deleted scenes. Have you seen the animatics from where they look like video games? But you have Quinlan Voss, where the tank tank stops in front of Quinlan Voss, and the turret turns around and just blows Quinlan away. And then Adi Gal, another female Jedi, I forget who it was, actually gets shot in the back, and then they have an overhead shot of the walker, and the walker slams on her and lifts her up, kind of like Jurassic World style, where the guy gets stomped on. Those animatics of extended Order 66, crazy. You could find that online too.
Before we get further into Order 66, just before that,
Order 65.
before I forget, the search, if you want to search it on YouTube, I remember what they called it. They called it Revenge of the Sith 4-hour cut, and I think it was clickbaity. But if you look up Revenge of the Sith 4-hour cut, there's so many, there's videos, and it has all the animatics, all the Spielberg animatics from the Mustafar battle, all the extended.
No, that was the Grievous stuff. That's actually what I want to talk about. I did not know that Spielberg was supervising the animatics for the Grievous chase with Obi-Wan and Grievous because Spielberg wanted to get hands-on experience working with animatics like that, and so that's why
responsible for those eye shots.
And that sequence is like 8 or 10 minutes long. Like the initial sequence is like 10 minutes long. Yeah. Like the whole anime, and it's a crazy animatic that I watched last night. It's really, really interesting. You're like, man, Steve, relax, bro.
That's interesting because I remember years ago, like kind of hearing like that, like Steven Spielberg directed a scene in the movie, but you didn't know which one it was, type of situation.
This is basically where this is coming
He
from.
also did some of the Mustafar battle too. I think with the big thing. That when they're all
they're swinging back and forth on the lava. Yeah, they're on the lava river.
Yeah.
The
Order 66 thing, I can go back to what I was finally going to say. So for a while, I used to really still have trouble with the Anakin turn, and I would talk to some of my KOTOR guys. I'm like, why don't we do with episode 2 what we did with KOTOR and like replace Anakin's lines with our own? And have lines work within the parameters of what we have to do, like we did with the game. Because I always gave Logan Starr his own words. And so, perfect example is when Anakin in episode 2 is on the, and I'll try to keep it quick, he's on the balcony, and he's like, he's like, are you having bad dreams again, Obi-Wan says. And he's, of your mother? And he's like, yeah. And then he says, I much would rather dream about Padme. Just being around her is intoxicating. Yeah. Then Obi-Wan says, be careful, Anakin, what you wish for, that is going against the Jedi Order. You've made a commitment to the Order. I took that line out of Anakin saying about, I'd much rather dream about Padme, because I always thought that was cheesy, man. You just saw him like 10 years. And instead, he says, so you're thinking about your mother, you had bad dreams? He's like, yeah. And he says, dreams pass in time. And then Anakin says, well, you know what I would do? I'd like to go free my mom. In fact, I've asked the Jedi Council every day or every year for 10 years, and they keep denying me. Why are they doing that? And Obi-Wan says, be careful, Anakin. Oh, and then he says, I have half a mind to go to Tatooine myself and free her myself. And then that's when he says, be careful, Anakin. You've made a commitment to the Jedi Order. And so my whole goal was to, when I was rewriting these lines, and I was even like, maybe I'll try to like green screen myself into it, when that would have been too crazy. And then I got too old. So I was like, well, maybe I could just still do I could do a redubbing. They've done it with Jar Jar and stuff like that. And trying to just make Anakin's fall a little more congruent with less about Padme and more about his mom and like how he hates the Jedi Council. And so there's even a line later where he's like, it's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's holding me back. I asked that council every year. My Obi-Wan should have been there for me. He should have helped me get it. And now she's dead. And the whole point is then he feels that he's literally a slave of the Jedi Council himself. And that then later, the only line that I would have changed in episode 3, and we go back to that shot of the kids. He says, Master Skywalker, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are you here to do? Or what he says, what are we going to do? And Anakin's line, the only line I would...
What are we going to do?
Anakin would say, I'm here to free you. And basically, Anakin's thought was he was freeing the Jedi of their chains.
Damn, that's dark as hell.
Which is total, like the Sith code, too, is with that, through passion I gain strength, through strength, my chains are broken. And that would be Anakin's whole thing. And so in this retelling of episode 2, every line, and my goal was, and the pitch was to make the sand line more epic. And so he would say, I don't like sand, but he wouldn't say, because your skin is soft and smooth. Sorry, bud. Your skin is soft. Nice guy.
Maybe it is.
His line would be, I don't like sand. It reminds me that my mom right now is rotting away on that rock and I still can't get there. And it's like, he's a mad teenager. He's like, let me go free my fucking mom. And when he finally says he's going to go off and do it himself, he doesn't get there on time. And so then he hates the Jedi from that moment on. And then any rewrites after that. And again, I was trying to do it all with redubbing, and it would have all been just an alternate audio cut just to see like what it would do. And then I kind of gave up on it.
Doesn't seem like you've thought about it a whole lot, though.
But yeah, so going into the Order 66 thing, I was like, I just wanted to make Order 66 little free. And some people are so the villains that really believe what they're doing is the right thing are the best villains. And if Anakin literally went in there and he's like, they fucking owned me, they were my slave owners, I'm gonna free them all. And he didn't want his life is so torn, he lost his mom, he lost everything, that if he literally thinks he's in that Jedi room to kill all the kids, but he's not killing them, he thinks in his twisted mind he's freeing them, because now Darth Vader is taking a hold on him and the dragon inside is telling him, free these kids by ending their lives. That would have been I don't think it would have been, it's a way darker take. Like,
way darker, dude. Holy hell.
Yeah.
First rated R Star Wars movie.
Yeah. And like that's, and like the
Also, here's a free icy
So that
on
was
your
my
way
Attack
in.
of the
It's going to
Clones.
be rough.
I was bummed to miss the Attack of the Clones episode.
and the scene where Anakin does kill the younglings, that's not even why the movie is PG-13. That's not even the reason why. It's
because
it's the burning scene.
Yeah, it's the burning scene.
It's because it's heavily implied that him and Padme had sex.
What?
Well, not like the Tartakovsky animation.
Yeah. Tartakovsky is. It's like,
Are you saying the implication is because she's pregnant?
Yeah. How'd she get that way?
One of my favorite scenes in the movies.
How did Anakin get that way?
Anakin's the father, isn't he? And he's like, I'm so sorry, and the music swells.
It's a good line.
Good.
Yeah. But okay, so good villains are the ones who believe their own hype, or whatever you said. Do we think that Palpatine really thinks he's bringing peace to the galaxy?
Absolutely.
I mean,
well, no, he's that's how.
He's bringing. I think he believes more about order than peace. Yeah, he believes more about the order than the peace. I guess.
It's order.
Yeah.
Execute peace 66.
Peace would be 7-7. That just sounds like a 7 or like 0.
Seventh heaven.
It's an angel number.
Yeah.
7 is a holy number.
Are you an angel?
Execute Order 7, which is hug everybody around you.
On the moons of Diego, I think. Yeah, what if... And speaking...
Whatever.
And speaking of Luke's approach versus Obi-Wan's approach, what if when Anakin was like, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy, if Obi-Wan just went, bring it in, buddy.
Bring it in.
Yeah,
You want a hug? You want a hug?
Come on. Let's hug it out. Okay? You know I love you.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. I just washed my robes. They smell nice. Come on.
I think Obi-Wan, though, in his defense, he's going there to kill him because if I just saw footage of Frank going into a kindergarten classroom and killing a room full of kids, and when I'm coming over to confront Frank, I'm coming in there to kill you. Sorry.
Yeah, because it's like, okay,
killed kids.
You are too far gone now. You've gone over to the bad side.
That is something that I do love about this movie because I'm very big on what the Jedi are supposed to be, and that line that I mentioned earlier, like Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense, never attack. I think that mantra should be everything the Jedi live by, and I think Luke Skywalker is the one that actually does it better than anybody else. But what I love about this movie is that Yoda is kind of like, normally should I use the Force for knowledge and defense, never for attack, but not today. I'm going to go right to the Emperor's office, and I'm just going to kill that mofo.
Yeah.
I love that Lucas probably created those red Imperial Guards and was like, yeah, they're cool, but like I didn't really literally right there. Yeah, they're cool, but I didn't really like think they would catch on as much as they did. And I think he was doing a little like dig on them when he was like, I'm just gonna have Yoda go in there and like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not as badass as everyone thinks that they are.
Right.
They're nothing compared to Yoda.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have this final confrontation. We're seeing Anakin just kill everybody, the Separatists, Gunray and all of them.
Which I noticed for the first time that Geonosian leader guy is also getting slaughtered.
Paga the
in that
Lesser.
room.
Oh, they're all and in the novel, there's a great line. Not a great line. Sorry, there's a line that was glad it wasn't in the movie. He says, "Oh, you said we would be peace," and then Anakin says, "Correction, I said I'd leave you in pieces."
Oh my god,
that's in the novel. Correction, I said I'd leave you in pieces.
Correction, I said you want a piece of me.
I'm gonna end up reading the junior novelization because that shit is dark.
It's crazy, dude. Like he's like quipping. He's like pulling Han Solo's like killing everybody.
He's pulling Vaderisms basically.
Yeah.
Poor Separatist, man.
Well, they had it coming.
They knew the Republic was corrupt.
They were right
for
in the
decades.
end.
I mean, yeah, they were.
They're like, the Republic's really corrupt. We kind of want to just leave.
Yeah, let us leave.
Yeah. This Palpatine guy, he's still in power, and we're not cool with that. At all.
I mean, like they had it coming. They like literally like followed a Sith. Like they allowed a Sith Lord. They knew he was a Sith Lord. They allowed a Sith Lord to just like give them the play-by-play. Like this is what you're gonna do.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like I'm running the show. Don't let a Sith Lord run the show if your intentions are good. Okay.
So we get to
Rule number 1.
We were past Order 66 now, and now we're into the finale of this movie with Yoda,
Pretty
Palpatine
good.
fight,
Pretty good.
Anakin, Obi-Wan. Anakin chokes out Padme, which is just like, damn, that's it. Like that's it. Like this is he is Vader at this point. I will say,
Best part
the
right
opening salvo of the Anakin Obi-Wan fight. Look, when I was going into watching this movie, like my Star Wars fandom wasn't what it once was with Episode 2 and Episode 1. But after this movie, it really like invigorated. Because I mean, like it's 3 years, and we didn't have the internet the way we have the internet now, where it's just a constant cycle of content being pumped out every week or month, whatever. You go through large chunks of where. And like I said, I only had my one friend Dan, my childhood friend Dan. That was also the only one really that I knew that was interested in Star Wars. But what I'm getting at is that opening salvo between Anakin and Obi-Wan. I memorized it with my lightsaber, and I had no one to play with. I knew Anakin's part, and I knew Obi-Wan's part.
Did you remember that one part
it.
that I hated?
I still know both parts.
Oh, I can do like the twirl behind the back and everything like that. Like I knew the whole fight. Yes.
This part though,
I know all the music cues.
This part where they're doing this.
Yeah.
And then they push.
See, I could play you the music that's playing at this moment that the movie's playing. I'm not even looking. Yeah, I just know it all. Big music guy in this.
Back
movie.
to it. You have two best friends that are about to fight and kill each other, and they're the only thing I was like, and I talked about it again, I think once on one of our episodes. My only thing I love it is Chef's Kiss. It is the greatest duel, and what I love about it is it takes place in so many locations and it's so long. No duel ever caught it. Thankfully, they didn't even do it. I like that they never caught up with that because that is the big duel that decided the fate of the galaxy, basically, or one of them. And they kept it long. They kept it epic from one side of Mustafar to the other.
Yeah.
And Rey and Kylo never matched it. Luke and Vader never matched it. I mean, they did in terms of if it's your favorite duel, I get it. But I'm saying in terms of history, if you're writing a book of this battle took place from here to there.
Sure.
It was such the scale of the fight. The only thing that was just missing a little, just a little more of the back and forth talk. And I was hoping that the Obi-Wan series would have a little more of that too, and they really, not as much as I would have liked. I still think that chef's kiss, that last battle at the end of the series. But I just wish that like they're fighting and then he has him down on the ground and when he's choking him and he'd be like, Obi-Wan can be like, I am your friend, like just pleads, like, like pleading,
but
like look what
Obi-Wan was there to kill him. Why is he going to talk to him?
Yeah, I get it. Like that's a good counterpoint, which has made it a little more stomach for me. But he's still later on. He's like, I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. But like early on in the fight,
I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over.
At that point in the fight, look how long they've been going. And like we could be doing this forever.
He's trying to get a breather.
He's trying to okay, look. We are really good swordsmen, obviously.
Could we just
can we talk it out now?
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
Come on, man.
Yeah. But I mean, I think early on in that fight, if Obi-Wan is definitely taking a more defensive thing, and Anakin's the aggressor. But like,
I don't know. I think actually Obi-Wan's more the.
But Anakin's on top of him, and he could be like, "You're with Padmé, huh? You bringing Padmé here, motherfucker? Look what you mean." You know what I mean? Like, it could have been really. Like,
actually,
again, my episode.
Actually,
3,
Padmé brought me here.
If you're liking my ideas of how dark I get shit, then you're gonna love my Revan prequels because I'm taking Revan to dark places because that's where he was. Just saying. That's my little pitch when it comes out.
Code Tour Revan : dark places.
Rated R. Rated NC-17.
Rated Revan.
Rated R for Revan. Rated R for Revan. I'm stealing that in the promo.
Go ahead, do it. I'll take my check in the
I'm gonna have an F-bomb, the first F-bomb in Star Wars.
Oh no. Well, to build onto your point, what I love about the Obi-Wan Anakin fight is I do feel like Anakin is the aggressor in the fight, even though Obi-Wan's the first one to ignite his lightsaber.
Yes,
he's in defense there even.
But if you pay,
he's trying to play Anakin's arrogance the whole time.
Because if you pay close attention to like the choreography, it's like you can see how intelligent of a fighter Obi-Wan is because he's moving his lightsaber a lot less than Anakin is. He's letting Anakin exert all of his energy. He's allowing Anakin to tire himself out, and then that's what causes Anakin to lose at the end of the fight.
Wait, lack of energies will cost Anakin?
If he had more energy, he would have jumped higher.
This is a great boxing.
Maybe.
Floyd Mayweather was known as the boxer that like all of his fights tactician, and all of his fights were always boring. People complain about it. It's like, dude, like he's never going for the knockout. No, he's just sitting there waiting.
War of attrition.
Yeah, he's just exactly. He's just waiting for the other opponent to get. And I think that I can kind of see your point there.
Yeah, but I also think Obi-Wan was trying to play into
like
Anakin's arrogance.
Clubber Lang, man.
Yeah, Obi-Wan was trying to play into Anakin's arrogance and his idea that he was the best, like he was the best. And so what is in Obi-Wan's favor is that the dark side, it can give you all of this quick and easy false bravado too. But Obi-Wan, I think, is still much more centered throughout the fight. Anakin is fighting with pure rage, whether it's all the things that Anakin's been holding against Obi-Wan this whole entire time, the Padmé stuff, and so. But at the end of the day, Anakin, or really Darth Vader, is a badass. But Obi-Wan,
he can't
plays the long game.
He can't beat Obi-Wan in a fight.
Never does.
The one time he does is because Obi-Wan let him win.
Yep.
Let him? What do you mean? When did he let him?
In A New Hope, Obi-Wan let Anakin beat him.
That one. Yeah.
I will say, as a shot, if we're talking about the Mustafar fight, if you've ever been around fire or lava, if you ever get that close, your skin would actually catch on fire.
Yes. I'm around lava
when they're hanging on this thing and there's lava things coming out. One little piece of lava lands on your face, it's searing through.
We should go to an active volcano.
Okay,
and do an episode from there.
I live in LA.
Scoundrels ain't
I'm just waiting for earthquake
from Mustafar, guys. live from Mustafar.
They went and recorded actual lava. There's an eruption that was happening when they were making this movie, and that's where they got a lot of the reference material for how all the lava that you see, the way it acts and shoots up. Like they use a lot of reference that was of an active volcano.
You've ever been at a bonfire and when you get really close 100%. To the fire, how hot?
So does that ruin the movie for you completely? Then
their faces.
And listen, Anakin's clearly very sweaty.
Yeah,
it's hot,
but not from the lava. Yeah, it's from the cardio workout with Obi-Wan.
I don't know. Again, I keep sending you guys away from our video, which is why our view count hopefully will be high because you'll have to keep clicking back. There's another thing. I forget if you search It might be from the same guy that posts those 4-hour things, 4-hour videos when you search for Revenge of the Sith 4 hours. I showed it to you guys. There's one YouTuber who's friends with Nick Gillard or one of the other stunt people who got a lot of footage. And Anakin's Obi-Wan fight was a lot more brutal, and there were pieces that were cut out of him arrogantly dodging like an Obi-Wan swing, like just like that, and actually throwing a little bit more Vaderisms in there, throwing things at Obi-Wan, and it's very interesting to see. So you could look that up, and there's even an alternate animatic somewhere out there. I think I showed one of you guys that where he's on the platform, and it's not. They didn't do the higher ground thing. It was another thing where Anakin does some like arrogant like swing, and then Obi-Wan lowers and then cuts him off right at the knees, right on the platform, and then I think it might have been an interesting thing where then he's like looking up at him, like grasping at his like at his chest, like as he's like sinking to the ground with no legs.
Geez, all right.
That's again the R-rated Revan cut I'm gonna get for you guys.
Sorry, I'm just glued to the TV right now.
Yeah,
I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over.
The movie
I know.
from now on.
No, man, this movie's
Because
good.
Brandon can't handle it.
He's so into the movie, he loses track of what's going on.
Let's talk about then Palpatine and Yoda, because this was.
Did you think that was going to happen? I never thought that was going to happen.
I didn't really think so. I was like, dang, they're going to put the two strongest mano y mano in this fight. I'm like, that's
with
really,
sabers
really
too.
interesting.
Like,
yeah.
I still think maybe it would have been more epic if it was more of a Gandalf style, like battle of wizardry.
Well, there was a little bit of that.
A little bit of that, yeah. Because like the saber stuff, it's just again like I wasn't. It was a fun pop. It was a cheap pop, as they say in wrestling, when he did the thing in episode 2, and I think it just carried over to episode 3. But like you never just think that Yoda and the Emperor fight. Because they could have easily just had Yoda go into hiding and then just the Emperor sitting there waiting for Anakin. So it's cool they did it. It was all over the marketing. I remember that trailer of and he throws the saber, always cut to the logo. But you never saw that coming. Did you think that they were gonna have that fight leading into
Not like that? No, yeah. I was like,
I think I'm gonna cut you off.
And I was like, this is a really interesting way to go, but it ultimately plays into the fact that you have to show Yoda failing, because why else is he going to go into hiding?
Yeah.
What? I mean, yes, the Jedi Order has been destroyed, so that's enough to go into hiding. But that's like a systemic-wide type of galaxy-wide thing that's happened with the murdering of all these Jedi. But what happens to him personally where he goes, I have to do this now in order to, because I'm in shame, like I live in shame because I could not save the galaxy. I could not. All the Jedi that died have died in vain now because I could not stop the Sith Lord, which is what the Jedi are supposed to do, right? And he couldn't do that. So, but the physicality of it all, of Yoda jumping around and everything like that.
Did he give up too soon?
Yeah.
You think Yoda gave up too soon?
He could have walked.
There is a juxtaposition between.
He could have walked back up
the high ground, right?
Where's his saber?
There's the juxtaposition with the high ground. Obi-Wan had the high ground, and then he ended up winning because he sliced Anakin up. Palpatine had the higher ground, and Yoda didn't go up there.
But like
Yoda was smart.
When Yoda was on the low ground, though, Palpatine was literally dangling off one of the Senate seats, going like really cartoony. But like.
He's over the top.
And the laugh, by the way, the laughing too. Like the maniacal laughing was very jokery. Like
Yoda could
my Sith Lords don't laugh.
Yoda could have looked up, seen that he was like just hanging off like the end, and just done like a little force push. You're Yoda, bro.
Yeah,
come on.
But the scene that you're talking about, that it's heartbreaking, is when he's like, failed have I? And in exile I must go. Like the imagine of the heartbreak that
what
he had.
Quitter's mentality.
Yeah. Yoda was a quitter?
Yeah, he's a quitter. Listen, to paraphrase Billy Madison, you go back out there and you fight that effing Emperor.
Because I'll tell you who's not a quitter is Padmé, because I have my theory about how she died, and it's not by giving up.
Well,
life.
I guess when we get to that. Well, I guess we're there.
Well, almost there. Immolation scene we should talk
about.
Oh
yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, I think it's really cool that we got Yoda versus Palpatine fighting. I think that's something you would always envision as a fan of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be so cool? But they're never gonna give it to us. And nowadays they probably wouldn't. But at the time,
I think they absolutely would.
At the time, George Lucas was like, "Yeah, let's give them what they want."
Yeah, let's throwing everything out there in the
cool.
kitchen sink, which they actually have a kitchen sink in the opening.
I just told that anecdote to David before when we were watching earlier.
They really do that. He gives us everything in this movie,
and the kitchen sink.
And
literally,
you can say
that
was a joke. That was a joke. Yeah.
I would say that and the immolation. So if we're going into the final fight, then and the immolation scene, and there's another. Why am I the deleted scenes guy today? But you can see there's a line that is cut from the script, and you can find many videos on YouTube that explains it and even shows a piece of the script. But you can see in a wide shot when he's first crawling and he's reaching towards Obi-Wan, he mouths "Help me."
I remember you telling me this.
Originally, the line was "Help me," and then Obi-Wan said, "I would help you. You were my brother once, but no," or whatever it is. But he literally ignored, and then I guess they took it out. Probably smart because it's like, dude, he's saying "Help me" now, and like, put him out of his misery or help him.
Yeah.
But they muted that line. But you could still see him mouth it in one of the shots. Keep your eyes on it. You could see him. He says, "Help me."
I would help you, Anakin, but you just can't turn toast back into bread.
Oh my God. Oh,
there you go, man.
But that's just a really tough scene to watch, which is why they got the PG-13 rating.
Yeah, that's a brutal one.
And because every movie is PG. I mean, well, the originals and the two prequels are, sequel trilogy are PG-13. Just because of the MPA and all blah blah blah. Yeah. Anyways, watching Anakin have just burn and Obi-Wan stand there and watch that, and you see him with the Sith eyes again for the second time in the movie.
Yeah.
Damn, man. You're like, damn, he is. And that's literally, that's probably the only way he could survive that.
It's true.
At that point, because he's obviously no longer aligned with the light side. And if he was, he would not be in that position.
I like that.
But that's the only way he could. And if anything, that further drove him deeper into the dark side, and feeling all his anger and hate towards Obi-Wan, which, comes to play in the Obi-Wan series again.
Obi-Wan!
God, that's so great.
Oh,
I
remember you texting me about that, or you tweeted
I sent you a video of it, I think.
You tweeted it, too.
Or something
like,
like that.
Scream. But
I want to see the 5 minutes of him talking to the Emperor before the scene that we saw in Obi-Wan.
How good...
Just like, guys, Obi-Wan beat me again.
How good does that rain feel on Anakin?
Not good at all. Not good at all. Not good at all.
Yeah, just pelting him.
Yeah.
And because the Emperor didn't care.
He is so exposed to germ and disease right now.
These raindrops, man.
And by the way, once your body becomes constricted, you suffocate when you're a burn victim like that.
Oy.
You start healing. So that's why most burn victims, they die of...
he should have died on the table, but Palpatine kept him alive using the life force of Padmé, and we'll get to that.
Well, I think we're there.
We're there. So, Padmé, the robots, I like to call them robots like Luke did in the New Hope, the only time they're referred to as robots. We don't understand what's going on here. It's suddenly she lost the will to live. She did not lose the will to live.
What did the book say?
I don't know what the book said. But if you see the editing and the cross-cutting, it's going on in the background here, but I'm trying to focus on telling the story. The moment she dies and her heart stops beating is the moment that Anakin's... I think it's either the fate, we'll get there in a second. But it's basically, he's being kept alive, and I've always thought, because when he gets up and he's on his seat, he's like, wait, what are you talking about? Where's Padmé? Is she safe? And he's like, and it seems you killed her, and he's like, what? Anakin even says, or Vader at this point says... She was alive. I felt her.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't feel her because he was across the Force. If he was able to shoot his Force jizz across the galaxy to create Anakin, he could also go across the galaxy. Sorry.
I don't know. That's proven.
Comics, they kind of talk about it. But he's sucking at the same time, he's sucking the energy from Padmé, and it's tragic that Vader is kept alive through Padmé's life force. He sucks the energy out of her, and as she dies, the helmet gets lowered, and the first breathing happens as her heartbeat stops. The breathing happens. I believe that's the timing of it, or at least right around that same time. And I happen to believe. And the robots, the droids, they don't know. They don't know because they can't process it. They don't understand. It just seems like she lost the will to live, but that's not it. They just can't process it because they don't know why her life force is leaving her, but it was a cosmic force thing. Look, if Palpatine could fall down a shaft and then project his life force to go all the way across the Exegol, if it's not proven, but if it's the theory that he created the life force to create Anakin, if this is
that's
possible,
pretty much implied at this point. But yeah,
then he could,
or widely accepted.
He could easily have taken away the life force of Padmé to keep Anakin alive. And for my headcanon, I kind of like that because I don't like that a mother would all of a sudden like lose the will to live because you lost Anakin. Like, no, you're the strong Padme we know, the strong senator, the strong queen of Naboo, and you're gonna give up because you're heartbroken. Like she died of a broken heart. No, dude, she died because the Emperor sucked the life force out of her, and as she dies, the death of Padme becomes the birth of Darth Vader. I rest my case. I yield my time.
Okay. I think it's a very nice theory and a nice way to frame it. I think yes, when you throw in the wrinkle that is the children being born and as a mother, but I mean we do know this from our own real world. Spouses do die of broken hearts. Like they're just. One dies and then shortly thereafter, a week or two or a month, whatever, they pass. So like that is a real thing. And sometimes even though you have other children or other people that you love in your life, sometimes your love for someone is so strong that you can't even control that. You can't control. That's just something that happens to you that you don't even ask for. It just is what it is.
But 3 years ago, she was saying, "Don't look at me that way. It makes me feel uncomfortable." You know what I mean? Like I get it. You could fall in love so hard with someone, but
Sorry, my lady.
Why can't? Yeah, true. Why can't?
I'm not asking you to accept what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
I'm just asking you to listen.
No. I get it, and I hear you. And my counterpoint to that is another thing they could have done is just say, "No, she died because she got choked." And she was pregnant and got choked out and fell to the ground until she went into induced early labor and died from that.
I'm not asking for a counter.
I'm just saying that in real world that could have been it. But the dying of a broken heart. Be honest with me. Do you like that as the reason that Padme Amidala died?
I like that. What the story is trying to tell me, the way I interpret it, is that their love was so strong that this is what happened when Anakin died. So did Padme. That's how I interpret it, and I think that underscores their love story. Mm-hmm. That's their love story.
I don't think your headcanon's wrong. I don't think my headcanon's wrong either.
I like your idea too.
I really like that.
I love that point.
I really like that interpretation a lot, but I also like the poetry of Palpatine like taking her life force and giving it to Anakin, like because. We see like in the Mandalorian and Rise of Skywalker.
First of all, she's just a normal person. She doesn't have the Force.
But like we see in the Mandalorian and Rise of Skywalker that Jedis can.
Jedi is plural.
Whatever. Jedi. Whatever.
Jedis. You said that earlier today, and I let it off because I thought you were quoting or Samuel L. Jackson. But
Jedi.
Wow. Are we gonna go hunt some deers later?
Maybe. But Jedi.
I love cactuses, or is it cacti? Watch out for that killer cacti.
Jedis.
Hey, dude. That's an old school reference for Nickelodeon fans. Let's see if anyone in the comments catches it. Continue.
Anyways, that Jedi to heal other people can take the life force from themselves and give it to someone else, which is a completely selfless act. It is very much what a Jedi would do. But a Sith would take the life force from someone else, not from themselves, but selfishly take it from someone else.
Yeah.
And that's something that a Sith would do. So that makes sense as something that Palpatine would take Padme's life force and give it to Anakin, rather than give his own life force to Anakin.
Yeah. Hey, look, you're getting the snaps. You know what that is? The snaps?
What's the snaps?
In sorority houses, when you would go visit the sorority houses in college, and you'd like say like, "Hey, we're just out here as a fraternity to say thank you for our fundraiser," but they didn't want to interrupt you. You would hear a whole room of girls just do this. They would clap, and that's just the way of saying like, "Hey, we hear you. We're clapping without interrupting your speech."
I hear you, Frank.
Okay. Also, very sad that they have to make Padme still look pregnant in this funeral procession, and she has the.
But Boss Nass is
smart.
there.
That's the way to do it.
I mean, no, I know it's very sad though. It's just like, hey, Padme died and her baby.
Yeah,
it's like
I wonder, like,
well,
I don't want to ever know, but like when they do bury someone who's pregnant, like, do they take the kid out for? You know what I mean? Like, if it's that kind of situation.
Man, they got those proto Star TIE fighters fast, huh? And look at all like they're already on like a Star Destroyer with like these Imperial outfits. Like, how many months later is this last?
As
scene?
we're doing a watch along of a
Brandon, just relax.
Do you remember the first trailer that came out when Vader came up?
I got
on the desk. It was released, but he was like this. And his
arms
were
yeah.
And everybody was like, he has like weird chicken arms, and they thankfully like CG'd it and like fixed it to where he got lifted up like that. But
I gotta see these chicken arms.
You ever seen that?
I probably have. I just don't remember.
Yeah. Everybody, that was the only thing. Everybody's like, why? What is he doing with his arms? Like, why would he be like attached like that anyway? Like he would be down
because he's like this. and then Palpatine's like, "You look pretty cool, friend."
For the audio listeners, I mean that instead of his arms all the way down, pinned down like at a hospital bed, like his arms, his like elbows are up as if like you're about to do like a shoulder press.
And I'm doing the T-Rex arms that Palpatine does.
You've been like doing the T-Rex arms the whole episode.
Because he's always ready to just zap a person. That's why he's like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you trying to mess with me? Zap. Gotcha. I was ready.
Dang.
I did want to say that by the time we get to this part of the movie in the Frank cut, it is so epic because you've been watching a 3.5 hour movie. It does give you like Return of the King vibes, especially like when it's wrapping up, and then I will take the Tatooine, the most place you shouldn't take him because his last name's Skywalker, but that's another story. But I just think that Frank's cut did a great job when it was showing everything, just showing like, and you're exhausted. No, and that's not a negative when I'm talking about Frank's cut. Like you're really exhausted because of so much war is happening and so much loss, and like, and it's great too. Or like Maul is in on it. He not in on it, but he knows the whole time, and he starts to laugh when he puts it together. He's like, "Of course, I was so worried about blah blah blah. I should have been worried about Anakin. Of course, Anakin was the missing key." And Maul could have stopped it all. Maul could have stopped. He tried. From turning. He could have killed. He could have tried to kill Anakin and stopped all of Vader.
He tried because he wanted to get back in Palpatine. Like that was the whole thing.
He thought Anakin would show up, but instead Ahsoka did.
No, he thought Obi-Wan would show up.
No, but
because he wanted to kill Obi-Wan first.
Oh, I thought he wanted.
No, I just watched it.
It's your cut, so yeah.
He's like, well, I think he literally says,
"I wanted Kenobi.
Yeah.
Why are you here?"
Yeah.
But then why does Ahsoka then say, "Oh, you're lucky that Anakin wasn't here because he'd kick your ass"? Oh, he must have said like, "Oh, I wish I brought Anakin here. That was the one I was to kill." Because Ahsoka says, "Oh, you're lucky he didn't come.
Does
my
say
master would have
like
whooped
that,
your ass."
He wants to kill them both, basically. I mean.
Yeah, but like, and I remember you guys were talking about last week, like how Star Wars was able to get like a lot of amazing actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Like early on. So how cool is it that they got Joel Edgerton for Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, and for him to come back in the Obi-Wan show, and the same thing, the actress who plays Beru.
Yeah, and the same with Genevieve O'Reilly on a different
Genevieve
respect
O'Reilly.
with Andor. And that they have the skills to like back it up. Like, because she had a bit part. She was cast as a bit part. And then later on to be in Andor and to really kind of crush it there. It's like props. And in Rogue One, obviously.
A Star Wars story, yeah.
Does anyone else have any anecdotal takes or stories about this movie? Because I know when I finished watching the theater, I'm like, dang, this is it. No more Star Wars. Like, that's it.
You thought.
I thought, and I was right for a while. For like 7 years.
Unless you count the Clone Wars.
No, Clone Wars came out and it was in the theaters.
But like, but like,
War in the Galactic Republic.
The
you
Skywalker
thought the movies
story
were over, but they're not.
The Skywalker story was done. Like this was the last movie. 1 through 6, we have the complete story of the fall and redemption of Anakin Skywalker. And I was like, dang, I can't believe this is it. And then I never thought Star Wars fandom would turn into what it has become today. Because I also never envisioned George ever selling Star Wars. I didn't, think about, I didn't think like a businessman, obviously. And so when
he regretted it though. He later in interviews was like, well, I mean, he knew he needed to step away from it, but he was bummed that they didn't use his treatments. And we can get into what they were next week on The Force Awakens, because I know they have this great book of, I forget, it's his production art and like the process of the prequels.
Yeah.
And it talks about how George's idea, it involved Maul being alive, which they then later used for Clone Wars. And it involved Darth Treya, who is from the comics. Dark Talon, who's a female, red and black, tatted out.
Twi'lek,
yep. And that's also kind of borrowed from the comics, but we can get into that.
You know what drives me nuts about the prequels? When the end credits switch to the scrolling end credits, the stars in the background disappear and it's just a black screen. It's the only 3 movies in the whole saga where that happens.
Oh, that's right.
The original trilogy and the sequels, the stars remain for the entire credits.
Huh? Look at that.
What's that about, George?
You know what's also interesting, watching the prequels most especially, is that you look at these and you're like, these are indie films.
Yeah,
like these are indie films, man. Like when you watch them like that, with that like in your mind, I'm telling you, you just look at it and you go, holy shit.
George Lucas was like, I'm fronting all the cash. I'm gonna make them. You can release them if you want.
Yeah.
I got it. I'm balling out.
It was dope to see Kashyyyk. We kind of skipped over it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
with the Wookiees, and I know that a lot of people
More
are aware
Wookiees.
of this. One of the earlier versions of Return of the Jedi, instead of Ewoks, it was going to be Wookiees, but it was just too kind of brutal, and that's why Ewoks is spelled with the same letters that you could form in Wookiee. He wanted it to kind of be a similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool to see Kashyyyk or Kashyyyk. I don't know how you guys call it.
I say Kashyyyk.
KOTOR games called it both ways, so you never know. But I thought it was cool that you got to see that and then see like when they're all standing up there and then they're making a water assault, but usually you don't run out to the water, but these motherfuckers do, man. They hop out of that trench and they're just headed straight
care,
for the
man.
waves. They don't care.
They
and
don't
they're
care.
just running towards
I
droids.
I feel like the story of the Wookiees in general is just like so tragic. They're like fighting this war against the Separatists. The clones are on their side, and then in the middle of the battle is when Order 66 happens.
Man, yeah.
And then they're like, yes, we beat the Separatists. We have victory. And then the clones probably just turned around and said, oh, you thought you're going to be our slaves
Call an
now.
ambulance. Call an ambulance. Not for me.
Because Order 67 is enslave all the Wookiees. That's what Order 67 is, so get ready.
I'm just glad they didn't have Han in there. You could find online production art of a little baby Han Solo that's like a 10-year-old Han Solo hanging out with the Wookiees on Kashyyyk, and he's wearing. It's basically like a kid cosplaying as Han Solo for Halloween.
Episode 3 has a YT freighter that flies into, I guess, the Senate or wherever on Coruscant.
Right into Palpatine's face.
All right, Kevin, you want to take us out?
Man, I started. I just want to say thank you for watching it. I will say that the prequels were fun to kind of go over. I mean, for two of them and the original. I will say that these movies. I think I liked the sequel trilogy, and I'm not negative on the sequel trilogy. Force Awakens is one of my favorite, but I did like that it wrapped up Anakin's story. And the only thing about Palpatine being alive in the Rise of the Skywalker, I think most of these things enhance it, right? I think the Clone Wars enhanced both Episode 2, because then you weren't bummed that you only saw that scene, and you weren't bummed at Episode 3 that the first battle was the end battle of the Clone Wars.
Right,
Like, wait,
yeah.
where's the Clone Wars?
You see the beginning and ending, yeah.
So I'm glad that they everything enhanced it, but I do think that the Rise of Skywalker hurt Revenge of the Sith through or Phantom Menace through Return of the Jedi, because the whole thing is Anakin sacrificed himself. He finally comes to the light side of the Force to bring balance by killing Palpatine, and when you bring him back, it just kind of, I think that if you didn't bring him back, his arc was like, yeah, he did undo that horrible evil, and you could have created a new evil in the sequel trilogy, and we can get to it. So I don't necessarily think that the Skywalker Saga needed to be. Like, you could have been a nice little bow right there, and you could have really done it.
I just wanted to chime in real quick too, because we'll talk.
I'll chime in after you.
We'll talk about, obviously, when we get more into the sequel trilogy, because Anakin was the chosen one to bring balance back to the Force.
Yes.
But
now they said later he didn't, though, because now apparently when interviews they said that no, it's Rey that's the one that brings balance back to the Force, so she was the chosen one. I think I read that.
Okay, I've never heard that. Hold on, that's absolutely no way. Even if I gotta go look that up. But anyways,
find that.
Well, that withstanding, Anakin brought balance to the Force. That doesn't mean that'll never become unbalanced.
I understand, but it could have been kind of unbalanced from another thing or another threat. Like, he gave up. He finally broke his chains. He
so it's not about that it became
so
unbalanced again. It was that the same guy did it.
Yeah, and also I don't mind that it could have been unbalanced again for someone else, but like
evil existing doesn't mean that doesn't mean it's unbalanced.
Yeah, that's true. But it's just, again, when you create. It was such a great story that the guy that enslaved Anakin, the one, if anybody needs to get that kill, the righteous kill, is the one that literally turned him against his own friends, his family, basically, in my headcanon, murdered his wife, right? Like, it just seems fitting that he should be the one to get the revenge and finally kill, through love, kill the Emperor. And when that doesn't happen, then suddenly it's
killing through love.
Listen. Okay, first of all, I just want to say
KOTOR 7.
I say when to me, I see the canon as when Vader chucks Palpatine down that shaft, whatever.
Yeah.
He does in that moment, he does bring balance into the Force, because everything up until that moment, the Force was out of balance for one reason or another. Way too many Jedi, which I'll get to in a second, and only 2 Sith and things like that. That moment, he brought balance into the Force, and I think from that moment on, even though Palpatine was still out there being evil, I think the Force remained in balance after that point. For example, we'll talk about it, but like Kylo Ren showed up, And then Rey showed up, and Luke says, powerful light meets powerful dark. Sure. The Force had to remain, the Force kept itself in balance by imbuing Rey with this power, hence the Force awakening. But anyways, we'll get to that next week. What I want to talk about now is, fair. This is my own headcanon. It's not true, but it's my own headcanon. When Mace Windu's like, in that scene where he's like, I don't think the boy can handle it. I don't trust him. I think it's that same scene where he's like, isn't he supposed to, is he not the chosen one? And then Yoda says, a prophecy misread could have been. I think he says that's exactly what he says. And that line, mixed with the fact that there's the Great Jedi Purge, to me, that kind of makes a lot of sense, where Anakin bringing the Force into balance was purging all the Jedi, because there was way too many Jedi. The moment he purged all the Jedi, he brought it back into balance. So this, like, we misread this prophecy. The guy who brought balance is going to kill us all. Whoops. That's my own personal headcanon.
Then it was just Darth Vader and Palpatine, and then Yoda and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I like
two
that.
And two.
That's my own personal headcanon.
I don't think that's completely
that's good.
Like wacko. Like, there's some other things out there that are probably just really interesting.
Like I know that's not the way George Lucas saw it. But that's the way I see it.
I took it as it's gonna take a lot longer than you think to bring it into balance. Like you think it's gonna happen this way. It actually is gonna happen this way. That's how I read that line ultimately at the end of the day. Kevin, you want to take us out one more time?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for listening. We have a great episode. We're going to cover Bad Batch episode 6 next week.
Yeah. This week.
But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below. What do you guys think of episode 3? What do you guys think of all of our crazy crackpot headcanon? If we named episodes, we would have called this episode headcanon for sure.
Yeah.
But we it's one of our faves. So we want to hear why it's one of your favorites or why it's not one of your favorites. And then we're going to get into The Force Awakens next week. And that will begin our descent into the sequel trilogy, where people started loving it and then hating it and then hating it. So we'll see. And that'll be very interesting
from a certain point of view.
But yeah, so thanks for watching Scoundrels Inc. And thanks for, I ran out of things to say.
May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with you. Cue the quote from Han Solo.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. I like the sound of that.